Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Was a Figure Skater in a Hockey World? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Introducing the characters. Izuku Midoriya Figure Skater. Age, 19. Height, 170 centimeters. Role, competitive figure skater, men's singles. Specialty, jumps plus artistic interpretation. Main conflict, perfectionism, performance anxiety, fear of letting others down. Appearance. Hair, dark green, fluffy, soft curls that never fully stay in place. Slightly longer on top for a skater boy. Gets wavier with sweat and steam from the rink shower. Eyes, bright green, big and expressive. Widen noticeably when he's nervous or excited. Build, slender, toned, flexible. Defined legs from constant training, slim waist, lightly muscled arms. Yes, he will be smaller in this, not a big hunk unfortunately. Skin, fair with a collection of faint bruises on shins and hips from falls. Covered head to toe in freckles. Scars. Small scar on his right knee from a childhood fall. Faint scar on his lower back from a bad landing years ago. Skating aesthetic, soft greens, silvers and flowing fabrics. Loves costumes that shimmer under rink lights. Casual clothes, oversized sweaters, fitted joggers, beanies, things that make him look adorable and slightly overwhelmed by warmth. Personality. Gentler than he looks, apologizes a lot, tries very hard not to inconvenience anyone. A chronic overthinker spirals into internal monologues about every interaction. Has an analytical brain for technique, angles, rotations, edges, footwork. Very physically expressive, blushes easily, fiddles with his fingers, flusters around Katsuki. Once he gets comfortable, he rambles passionately about skating, physics, or choreo. Surprisingly stubborn when he believes in something, especially his skating goals. Katsuki Bakugu Ice Hockey Forward. Age, 20. Height, 182 centimeters. Role, star forward on a semi-pro hockey team. Position, left wing, fast, aggressive, strategic. Main conflict, emotional vulnerability and dealing with pressure. Appearance. Hair, ash blonde, spiky, messy in a way that somehow always looks intentional. Goes damp and slightly wavy after a game or shower. Eyes, deep ruby red, sharp and intense, soften only around Izuku. Build, strong, athletic, thick thighs, broad shoulders. Defined abs and powerful legs built for explosive speed. Skin, lightly tanned, scars on knuckles from fights and falls. Scars. One over his eyebrow from a hard check into the boards at age, a faded scar along his jaw from a puck hit. Hockey aesthetic, black, reds, bold colors. Gear worn in and scratched from battles. Casual clothes, hoodies, compression shirts, joggers, ripped jeans, fingerless gloves. Looks like a menace. And hot. Personality. Loud, intense, competitive to an unreasonable degree. Deeply loyal once he cares about someone. Externally confident but internally terrified of failing. Pretends he doesn't care but actually cares too much. Blunt to the point of rudeness, especially when flustered. Hates when people see him vulnerable except Izuku. Secretly observant, notices Izuku's habits, fears, injuries before anyone else. Shoto Todoroki competitive ice skater, pairs singles crossover. Age, 20. Height, 181 centimeters. Role, elite competitive figure skater, switches between singles and pairs. Specialty, precision, emotional stillness, powerful jumps. Main conflict, family pressure, emotional repression. Appearance. Hair, half white, half red sleek, straight, falls to his cheekbones. Almost always perfectly in place. Eyes, left gray-blue, right icy turquoise. Sharp, unreadable, but soften around Kirishima. Build, lean, elegant, strong. Defined abs and shoulders from pairs lifts. Skin, fair, smooth, a few faint bruises from training. Scars. Light burn scar around his left eye. Skating aesthetic, crisp lines, minimalist costumes, blacks, whites, blues. Movements are sharp but graceful. Casual clothes, high-neck sweaters, fitted coats, gloves, expensive-looking scarves. Looks unintentionally gorgeous all the time. Personality. Quiet, introspective, emotionally careful. Comes off cold but actually very gentle. Literal to a hilarious degree. Very honest, you look good today. Makes Kirishima combust. Socially awkward but tries. Competitive in a calm, terrifying way. Loyal once he attaches. I drew Kirishima hockey defenseman. Age, 21. Height, 181 centimeters. Role, defenseman on Bakugu's hockey team. Specialty, team spirit, strength, strategy. Main conflict, self-esteem, believing he isn't good enough for someone like Todoroki. Appearance. Hair, dyed red, styled spiky, surprisingly soft to the touch when relaxed. Eyes, ruby red, warm and lively. Build, strong, muscular, incredibly fit. Thick arms and thighs, sturdy core. Built like a tank. Skin, sun-warmed, slightly freckled shoulders. Scars. A long one on his forearm from a skate blade in a pileup. Small scars on knees and elbows from wipeouts. Hockey aesthetic, bold colors, cropped practice tees, lots of protective gear. Casual clothes, graphic tees, hoodies, distressed jeans. Has a surprisingly cute wardrobe. Personality. Friendly, enthusiastic, heart of gold. The team's emotional support himbo, smart but overthinks confidence. Encouraging, passionate, loves seeing people succeed. Believes in manly actions, chivalry, integrity, bravery. Easily flustered by Todoroki's blunt honesty. Deep romantic streak. Wants love, partnership, devotion. Socially savvy, reads rooms instantly. Please continue to Chapter 1. Izuku. The rink always felt different at night. Quieter, colder. Almost like the ice breathed with him instead of under him. Izuku Midoriya exhaled, fog drifting in front of his face as he pushed off the barrier and skated toward the center circle. His skates hummed against the clean surface. The rink lights buzzed faintly overhead, casting long reflections that rippled beneath each glide. He whispered to himself, triple toe loop, check the entry, don't over-rotate, keep the shoulders in line. He'd been at it for hours. Most people thought figure skating was all glitter, costumes, and soft music. They didn't see the ache, the bruises, the repetition until your legs trembled. They didn't understand the stubborn fire that made you keep going even when your lungs burned and your knees threatened to give out. Izuku understood it too well. One deep breath. One long glide. Arms out. He bent his knee, let his center settle, and took off. For a heartbeat, everything clicked. Height. Rotation. Flow. The landing wobbled. His blade scraped the ice in a clumsy skid. Izuku fought for balance, arms flailing, and somehow stayed upright. So close. His voice echoed softly back at him. Coach Aizawa had warned him to rest. Nationals were coming up, and he needed consistency, not all-nighters. But this jump had been avoiding him for weeks. He could feel the potential in every attempt, like something inside him was trying to unlock but wouldn't. He took another breath and reset. Just one more try. Then he'd go home. Then he'd sleep. The sudden sound of a door slamming against the wall made him jump so hard he nearly face-planted. A voice boomed across the empty rink, sharp as a slap. Why the hell is there a figure skater on my ice? Izuku froze. No. Not him. Anyone but him. His heart fell into his stomach as he turned slowly toward the entrance. Katsuki Bakugu stormed in like fury given legs. Red eyes blazing. Hockey bag slung over his shoulder. Hair like he'd fought with half a bottle of styling product and lost. Skates clattering loudly as he stomped down the steps to the rink gate. Even from across the arena, Izuku could feel the heat pouring off him. He squeaked, "Oh no!" Because of course the one person who couldn't stand figure skaters or him, especially him, would show up on the night Izuku needed peace. Bakugo yanked his skate guards off and practically hurled them onto the bench. "We booked this rink tonight," he snarled. Manager changed the schedule. "Where the hell is your coach?" "I'm sleeping." "I mean not here," Izuku blurted, hands waving, brain scrambling to sound normal. Bakugo stepped onto the ice, blade first, confident and careless. "You're in the way, nerd." Izuku flinched. He hadn't heard that nickname in years. It still hit like a physical thing. "I'll be done in a minute," Izuku said quickly. "I just need one more try at my jump." "Oh great." Bakugo spread his arms wide, mocking. "We gotta stop everything so Sparkles can practice his twirls." Izuku's face flamed. "It's not TW. It's a triple toe loop." "Whatever. Get out of the center." And then Bakugo started skating. Izuku had almost forgotten how fast he was. How powerful. He wasn't all brute force and aggression like people assumed. He had control, speed, a kind of fluidity that came naturally even when he wasn't trying. His strides tore across the ice, scattering snow behind him. Izuku's breath caught despite himself. Katsuki Bakugo could skate. Really skate. Izuku forced his eyes away. He had work to do. He didn't have the luxury of being distracted by, or staring at, or admiring. He shook his head furiously. "Focus. Then leave." He pushed off again, heart pounding as he went through the entry. Knees bent. Arms tight. He turned, sprang up. Rotation. The landing held. Not perfect, but solid. Izuku beamed until he realized Bakugo had stopped right in front of him. Teeth. Bakugo's eyes flicked from Izuku's blade to his posture and back again. "You're leaning. No wonder you kept screwing it up." Izuku blinked rapidly. "I beg your pardon?" "You heard me," Bakugo said, crossing his arms. "Your landing assist." Izuku's jaw dropped. Angry heat flushed up his neck. Hey, you can't just insult someone's jump. You don't even know the technical require." "I know you're crooked," Bakugo cut in. "Just like in middle school." Izuku froze. The middle school memories were awound with a scar he tried not to look at. Bakugo's voice poked directly into it. "I'm not crooked," Izuku whispered fiercely. Bakugo raised a brow. "Prove it." Izuku's skates scraped ice as he stepped back. "Why do you care?" "I don't," Bakugo snapped. "I just don't want to watch sloppy technique while I'm practicing. It'll make me dumber." Izuku sputtered helplessly, mortified, and annoyingly, a tiny part of him lit up at the challenge. "Fine," Izuku muttered. "Watch closely." "Already am," Bakugo said, voice lower. "Too low." Izuku spun away quickly before his face could betray him and pushed off again. He forced himself to block out Bakugo's presence. The heat. The intensity. The stupidly good skating form. He set up, jumped, rotated, and landed. Bakugo exhaled sharply behind him. "Huh." Izuku turned, chest rising and falling. "WL. Better," Bakugo muttered. "Still not perfect." Izuku wanted to scream. But somehow he also felt proud. He was supposed to be focused. He stormed in because he was said. Practice schedules changing last second. The manager not answering his calls. Kirishima and the rest of the team stuck in traffic. The whole night was already a disaster. The last thing he needed was Deku of all people spinning around the rink like a DMN snowflake. But then, he watched the jump. Katsuki didn't know everything about figure skating. But he knew athleticism, precision, DSPLN, power, and the nerd had all of that in spades. When Izuku landed that last attempt, clean and controlled, Katsuki had to clamp down hard on the sound that almost escaped him. Some kind of strangled, holy sheet. He'd never admit it. Izuku was flushed, breathing hard, and annoyingly radiant in the way only someone who loved their sport could be. His blade carved neat arcs in the ice as he turned to face Katsuki, eyes bright with that same stubborn determination Katsuki remembered, except sharper now. "Older. Stronger. Diminished. Better," he said, because anything more would have been too much. Izuku practically vibrated. "Better?" That was my cleanest landing tonight. That's not saying much, Katsuki shot back, smirking. Izuku puffed up like a startled penguin. Nope. Cancel that thought. Katsuki shoved it down hard. You're still dropping your inside shoulder, he said, waving a hand. Fix that and you'll stop wobbling. Izuku stared at him, stunned. Are you giving me advice? No. I'm telling you what's annoying me. Izuku frowned, confused and flustered in a way that made Katsuki's stomach twist. You're still bossy. Izuku mumbled. Yeah. You're still dramatic. Izuku gasped. I'm not dramatic. You're literally sparkling right now. That's the ice shavings. Katsuki snorted. Maybe this wasn't the worst way to kill 10 minutes until the others arrived. Izuku reset for another attempt. Katsuki leaned on his stick, watching despite himself. The jump rose with clarity and power. The landing dipped perfectly. Katsuki blinked. Nice. Izuku flushed pink, and Katsuki immediately regretted opening his mouth. But something else happened too. Something sharp and magnetic settled between them, a tension stretching like a skate blade over fresh ice. Izuku skated closer, swallowing nervously. Thank you, Kaken. Katsuki's breath caught. The nickname hadn't left Izuku's mouth in years. It hit him harder than he expected. Before he could respond or yell, or deflect, or anything, Izuku stumbled. Just a small slip. But Katsuki reacted instantly, reaching out, grabbing him by the forearm. Izuku's hand came up and gripped Katsuki's sleeve. Close. Too close. Katsuki felt warmth spill down his spine. Izuku's breath hitched. They stared at each other, frozen, in a way that had nothing to do with the ice. Finally, Katsuki muttered, voice low and rough, "Watch where you're putting your diamond feet." Izuku nodded slowly, biting his lip. Sorry. Neither of them moved. Neither of them seemed able to. The rink door slammed open. Bakugo! Sorry we're late. Kirishima's voice echoed as the team piled in. Todoroki followed with his usual calm expression, though his eyes flicked from Bakugo to Izuku with quiet interest. The moment shattered. Izuku stepped back. Katsuki dropped his arm. Izuku whispered, "Good luck with practice," and fled to the exit, cheeks red and skates scraping lightly in his haste. Katsuki watched him go. Kirishima skated past him and nudged his shoulder. "Dude, what's with the look?" "Shut up," Katsuki muttered. But his gaze lingered on the gate where Izuku had disappeared. And in his chest, something hot and unwelcome pulsed once, stubborn as ever. Intrigue. Izuku's POV. The temporary schedule on the rink's bulletin board glared at Izuku like it knew exactly how to ruin his evening. Shared ice time with the hockey team from now until further notice. His fingers twitched along the straps of his bag as he read it over and over. The rink had always been his sanctuary, an expanse of white ice where the only thing that mattered was his own rhythm, his own movement. And now he was going to have to share it with him. Katsuki Bakugo. He swallowed hard, trying to steady his nerves as he pushed open the doors to the rink. The cold air hit him like a shockwave, clearing his head for a moment. The ice gleamed under the bright lights, each reflection stretching into impossibly long lines. It was beautiful, peaceful, untouched. And then he saw him. A flash of gold hair, a scowl that could curdle milk, and eyes sharp enough to cut through steel. Katsuki Bakugo was already on the ice, skates slicing with controlled power. His hands tightened around the straps of his bag. Focus. You're here to skate. Nothing else matters. Izuku pushed off the barrier, gliding into his warm-up laps. He felt the familiar hum of his blades cutting through the ice, the subtle vibrations of the frozen surface beneath him. 1-2, 1-2, a rhythm that steadied his racing heart. He began stretches, spins, and edge exercises, forcing himself to concentrate. But the scrape of heavy skates approaching made his breath hitch. Katsuki was skating too close, deliberately edging into Izuku's lane. "Move over," Katsuki barked, red eyes flashing. "You're in my lane. I'm on my own side." Izuku called back, panic rising as his muscles tensed. "Your side is wide. Stay in bounds," Katsuki shot back. Every instinct told Izuku to step aside, to ignore the heat radiating from the blonde skater, but he squared his shoulders. He wouldn't be intimidated. Not here. Not now. He shifted his weight, planted his blade, and attempted a quick turn. Misjudged it. He slipped. Katsuki's POV. Katsuki reacted faster than thought. Reflexively, he lunged forward, catching Izuku by the waist before he could hit the ice. The momentum of both their bodies was awkward. Blades scraped against each other as Katsuki adjusted to stabilize him. "DM it," he muttered, voice tight. "Watch your feet, nerd." Izuku's green eyes widened in panic, cheeks heating. "Thanks. I didn't do it because I care," Katsuki added quickly. "Reflex. That's all." But even as he spoke, heat burned in his chest. The proximity was distracting. Too distracting. Izuku's small hands brushed his arms as he stumbled upright. Both froze, aware of each other's warmth and scent in the cold, open air of the rink. "What? You didn't have to," Izuku whispered, voice soft. "Shut up," Katsuki muttered, pulling back slightly, though his grip lingered just long enough to make the world feel small, taut with tension. Izuku's POV. Izuku's heartbeat thundered in his chest. Every nerve felt alive, tingling, like electricity. He had to focus, spin, jump, glide. Ignore Katsuki. Push off again. He bent his knees, spread his arms, and attempted his triple toe loop. The rotation felt smooth. The landing held. "Not bad," Katsuki muttered, low, almost unwillingly. Izuku flushed. "Thank you. I mean, not that you need to say it." Katsuki smirked. "I don't." "Then why did it feel like it mattered?" Izuku thought, cheeks heating again. He tried to skate faster, to push the thoughts away, but Katsuki's gaze followed every movement, calculating, critical, impossibly magnetic. Katsuki's POV. He didn't admit it, but watching Izuku land that last jump with precision stirred something he wasn't used to respect. Curiosity? Annoying fascination? Maybe all three. "You're too precise sometimes," he muttered under his breath, skating a wide arc to avoid him but not taking his eyes off the figure skater. Minute. He shouldn't be noticing the way Izuku's blades cut clean lines, the graceful turn of his shoulders, or the sharp focus in his green eyes. But he was noticing. He couldn't look away. Sure POV. For the next few minutes, they skated near each other without speaking. The tension was palpable, each movement a silent conversation. Every glide brought them closer, every turn and footwork adjustment emphasized the subtle proximity. Izuku misstepped again. Katsuki's hands were on him instantly, holding him steady. The warmth of his body pressed faintly against Izuku's, and they both froze. Heartbeats quickened. "Stop falling," Katsuki muttered, voice rough. "I'm not falling." Izuku stammered, cheeks aflame. "Just skate properly, nerd," Katsuki interrupted, though his hands lingered a moment too long, keeping Izuku upright. Neither moved. Neither looked away. Every inch of the rink felt charged with unspoken words and unacknowledged feelings. But after some awkward silence, Izuku moved away first. Needing to practice. Needing to perfect his routine. Izuku focused on the triple jumps, practicing rotations and landings. He extended his arms gracefully, pushed through edges, and refined every step of his footwork. He imagined a diagram of the ice beneath him, tracing every arc, every turn, every blade mark with mental precision. Katsuki, in turn, practiced hockey maneuvers, sharp turns, stops, crossovers. Yet he couldn't ignore how easily Izuku maintained flow and form. The DSPN was infuriating, impressive, and distracting. He found himself timing his crossovers to match Izuku's arcs, keeping close without intending to, every movement a subtle dialogue of speed, strength, and control. The ice echoed with their movements, blades scraping, edges biting, spins whipping through the rink. Both were caught in the rhythm, a silent duel of focus and tension. A slip, a hand brushing, a shoulder grazing. Each incident set their hearts racing. "Careful," Katsuki said gruffly, though his voice betrayed a hint of concern. "I am being careful." Izuku snapped. though his voice shook slightly. "Sure you are," Katsuki muttered, smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Why is he smirking at me?" Izuku thought, cheeks heating further. Stop thinking about him. But he couldn't. Every glance, every slight movement of Katsuki's body, every ripple of muscle under the jersey left him dizzy and flustered. Katsuki, for his part, was equally unsettled. Every time Izuku leaned too far into a turn, every time he glanced up mid-spin, something in Katsuki tightened. He didn't like admitting it, but he kept noticing, kept reacting, kept wanting to react. Todoroki and Kirishima. From the edge of the rink, Todoroki leaned on the boards, calm as ever. His sharp eyes took in every detail, the closeness of the two skaters, the subtle tension, the way Katsuki's hands lingered just a second too long during each accidental contact. Kirishima, less composed, whispered, "Dude, look at them. They're so obvious." Todoroki raised an eyebrow. "You find this entertaining?" "Of course. I mean, come on." "Sparks are flying," Kirishima whispered, trying to stifle his grin. They watched as the two skaters circled the rink, sometimes dangerously close, sometimes opposite ends, a magnetic tension neither could fully ignore. Manager's POV. A loud blast of the whistle cut through the air. "Time's up. You two are officially sharing the rink. Behave or pay double." Katsuki growled. Izuku huffed. Both knew the true punishment was forced proximity. The ice suddenly felt smaller, tighter. Every movement, every turn now carried the risk of collision, accidental touch, or worse, unintentional intimacy. "Great," Katsuki muttered, skating a few feet ahead while keeping an eye on Izuku. Izuku exhaled slowly, cheeks still warm. "Focus. Don't think about him. Just skate." "Izuku." Izuku was mid-lap when he heard the sharp, familiar bark of a voice behind him. "A nerd. Bet you can't do a triple spin cleanly." He skidded to a stop, skates scratching across the ice. Katsuki Bakugo was grinning like a cat who'd cornered its prey, hockey stick slung casually over one shoulder. His eyes glimmered with mischief, or was it challenge? "Excuse me?" Izuku asked, incredulous. "I said a bet. You can't land a figure skating spin triple, double, whatever without wobbling." Katsuki's smirk widened. "Bet you can't." Izuku bristled. "I can. And I will. But you're on." "You can't," he froze. Katsuki's smirk sharpened. "Bet you can't beat me at a speed drill. Figure stepping nerd." The words hung in the cold rink air. A bet? A challenge? Izuku narrowed his eyes. "Fine. You're on. We train, we compete. No excuses." Katsuki grinned, skating closer, and Izuku felt his chest tighten. Somehow, this wasn't just a bet. It was a pretext. Katsuki. Bakugo had been watching Midoriya train for weeks now. Quiet, relentless, obsessed. And something about seeing the nerd's precise spins and jumps had gotten under his skin. He's good. Dimming good. But that didn't mean Katsuki wouldn't challenge him. Not when he could push him, tease him, and maybe see just how serious Izuku could get. "Figure skating spins, nerd," he muttered, arms crossed. "You can't fool me. I bet you wobble." Izuku's glaring reply and immediate agreement sent a thrill through him. Let's see how far he'll go. And then the second half of the bet, figure stepping. Katsuki could feel the tension coil in his chest. He might not land it perfectly, but he could at least make it interesting. The day would be fun. Izuku. The first hour was brutal. Katsuki was relentless, shouting instructions and critiques, half sharp, half mocking. "Too slow, nerd. Pick up your demon feet." Izuku gritted his teeth. Every muscle burned, every breath came sharp and fast, but he pushed through. Spins, footwork, edges, he ran through them methodically, each rotation tighter than the last. Katsuki's eyes never left him. Every wobble, every forced correction, every controlled fall was noted. And every time Izuku landed clean, Katsuki's smirk twitched in a way that made Izuku's stomach flutter. Katsuki tried the figure stepping drills. His first few attempts were messy. He didn't have the same precision as Izuku. Every glide and turn required adjustments, his speed making balance a constant challenge. "Stop leaning forward so dim and much," Izuku called from the opposite side of the rink. "Use your edges." Katsuki growled but couldn't help smirking. The nerd wasn't just bossing him around, he was good. Every adjustment Izuku called out worked. Every correction made him sharper, faster, and more aware of his body. By the end of the hour, he realized Izuku was relentless, disciplined, and impressively patient. After a break by the boards, the ice littered with skate marks and kicked-up snow, Katsuki leaned against the barrier, hands on his hips, chest heaving. "You're impossible," Izuku said, trying not to sound flustered as he wiped sweat from his brow. "Yeah, well, you're exhausting," Katsuki shot back, smirk tugging at his lips. As Izuku relaxed, his legs started to dull with a soft ache, causing a sudden slip by Izuku sent him toppling slightly. Katsuki's hands were there reflexively, catching him at the waist. Their faces were inches apart. Heat surged. "Thanks," Izuku whispered, cheeks burning. "Don't thank me," Katsuki muttered, though his grip lingered a second longer than necessary. The tension lingered as they both stepped back, pretending nothing had happened. But laughter bubbled from somewhere in the middle, soft, awkward, unguarded. "You're ridiculous," Izuku admitted, shaking his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. "You too," Katsuki said, though he wasn't smiling. "Not really. But there's something softer, warmer, human, beneath the usual sharp edges." They spent the next 2 hours alternating turns, coaching each other through figure spins and hockey footwork. Izuku's triple spin was almost perfect. Katsuki critiqued, corrected, and occasionally nudged him physically to adjust balance. Each touch lingered, every nudge sparking subtle warmth. Katsuki's figure stepping was more chaotic. Speed carried him forward, edges slipping occasionally, but Izuku's guidance, precise, patient, encouraging, pushed him further than he expected. Hands brushed. Shoulders grazed. Knees nearly collided. And yet, every misstep only drew them closer, their mutual frustration blending with unspoken curiosity and admiration. As their training started to come to an end, the sun was suddenly low, light streaming through the rink windows. Sweat-dampened hair stuck to their foreheads, lungs burned from exertion, hearts thudded in sync with their blades. Katsuki leaned close to correct Izuku's posture for a spin. Their faces were inches apart. The smell of ice, sweat, and something uniquely him filled the space. Izuku's chest rose and fell rapidly. "I think I've got it," he stammered. "Yeah. Show me," Katsuki said, his voice low, dangerous, magnetic. They rotated together, bodies moving in tandem. One slight stumble, one instinctive correction, and suddenly they were frozen in place, eyes locked. Breath mingled. Hearts raced. Almost their lips brushed. But neither moved. Both pulled back, cheeks flaming, racing hearts hiding under gritted teeth. "Why, you're crazy," Izuku whispered, trying to sound annoyed. "Yeah, well, not bad yourself," Katsuki muttered, smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. And with that, they both skated away, pretending nothing had happened, though the charged tension lingered in the air. Katsuki didn't notice the staring at first. He didn't notice the phones pointed at him during warm-ups. He didn't notice the rink regulars whispering as they pretended to tie their skates slower than usual. And he definitely didn't notice the rink manager peeking through the office window every time Izuku glided out for practice. What he did notice was Izuku. The idiot was in the center of the rink, warming up with spins so controlled they barely disturbed the ice. His hair bounced with each turn, his jaw set in concentration. Katsuki should have been focusing on his scrimmage, but his eyes kept drifting. And unfortunately, his teammates noticed. The hockey locker room, Bakugu's personal hell. Katsuki had barely stepped into the locker room before the comments hit him like flying pucks. "Yo, Bakugu!" Siro called, grinning like a menace. "Your boyfriend's on the ice again." Katsuki nearly swallowed his tongue. "My what?" Kaminari leaned around a row of lockers. "Your boyfriend? Izuku pretty TWK who twirls Midoriya?" Siro nodded solemnly. A modern love story. A tale for the ages. Shut the hell up. Oh, so he's not your boyfriend? Jaira added, smirking. Could have fooled us. You stare every time he bends down. Katsuki sputtered. I do not f. Kirishima clapped a hand on Katsuki's back. Dude, you drifted into the boards twice today because he stretched. We all saw it. Katsuki glared murder. Coincidence? Sure, Kaminari snorted. Just like how you, coincidentally, end up on the rink at the exact same time he does? Even when you're not scheduled. Katsuki opened his mouth then closed it. Shiro grinned. Look at him. Blushing. Oh, I'm not. But he was. Jaira rolled her eyes. Honestly? He's like, stupid pretty. Like unfairly pretty. I get why you watch. Stop. Talking. About. Him. Katsuki barked, going redder. The room erupted into laughter. But then someone went too far. Some third-line meathead who always tried too hard scoffed loudly. Don't know why Bakuga's obsessed. Figure skating's just posing and falling anyway. The locker room froze. Katsuki's skate blade squealed against the tile as he turned, slowly. Say that again, he said, voice low enough to chill the room. The stupid butt shrugged. It's ballet 4. Clang. Katsuki slammed his locker door so violently the metal dented inward. Several teammates jumped. Say that again. Katsuki hissed, stepping forward, teeth bared. And you'll be chewing through a straw for the next month. The meathead went pale. It was just a joke. It wasn't funny. Kaminari stared. Dude, chill. No. Katsuki jabbed a finger in his direction. He's stronger than any of you idiots. He works harder than every dipshit in this room combined. And if you talk about him like he's fragile or useless again. Katsuki, Kirishima said softly, eyes wide. You're being really intense right now. Good. Maybe they'll shut up. But they didn't. They slowly shifted from mockery to shock. To realization. Kaminari's jaw dropped. Bro, you like him? Katsuki choked. I do not. Bakugu, Jaira deadpanned, you just threatened to murder a teammate because he insulted Izuku's waistline. Literally just said that to get him flustered. Katsuki froze. That's not don't say waistline. Oh my god, Shiro whispered. He's down bad. Katsuki shoved his gloves into his bag like he was trying to strangle them. I'm going out. Anyone follows me dies. He stormed away. And ran directly into Izuku. Izuku. Izuku had only meant to grab his water bottle from his bag outside the locker room. He hadn't meant to overhear. But he heard everything. Pretty TWK who twirls. Why would Bakugu stare at someone like that? Posing and falling. Izuku's stomach twisted. His chest tightened. He pulled his jacket closer around himself, wishing suddenly he could disappear into the ice. So that's how they see me. He already felt the sting of humiliation when Katsuki's voice detonated like a bomb. Don't talk about him like that. Izuku froze. His breath caught. Katsuki was yelling for him? Defending him? Protecting him? Izuku didn't know whether to run or cry, but he knew he wasn't leaving until he saw Katsuki with his own eyes. And suddenly, there he was. Storming out of the locker room, still half in his gear, cheeks red with fury only to stop. Dead when he saw Izuku standing 5 feet away. And nerd, Katsuki choked, color draining from his face. Izuku swallowed, heart hammering. I didn't mean to listen. I just came for my bottle. Katsuki's mouth opened and closed, no sound coming out. Then Izuku gave him a tiny, trembling smile. Thank you, he whispered, for standing up for me. Katsuki looked like he might combust. It's not their idiots, he barked, then winced. I mean, you don't deserve that crap. Izuku's heart squeezed. That means a lot. Katsuki looked away like the words physically wounded him. Whatever, he muttered. Let's just go skate or something. Izuku nodded, cheeks warm. Izuku didn't realize Katsuki's heart was beating loud enough to echo off the boards. When they stepped back onto the rink, the air felt different. Softer. Close. Katsuki skated next to him, not too close, not intimidating like before, but present. Watching. Guarding. Their blades scraped the same rhythm. Their breaths fogged side by side. Every brush of hands sent sparks up Izuku's arms. Izuku practiced footwork while Katsuki did speed drills, but both kept drifting toward the same half of the rink like gravity pulled them. Finally Katsuki muttered, "You're working too tense. Relax your DMN shoulders." Izuku laughed softly. "You always say that." "Well, you're always tense. And you're always loud." Katsuki sputtered. "Hey!" Izuku smiled, a real one this time. "So, right?" A little flustered. Katsuki stared, expression melting into something he didn't recognize. "Shut up. Just fix your posture." Izuku flushed. "Yes, Katsuki." The first name hit Katsuki like a slap and a kiss all at once. Holy shit. He was so screwed. "Izuku." The stadium smells like winter. Cold air, metal rails, the faint scent of polished ice drifting up from the rink. Regional competitions always make Izuku's stomach twist, but this year it feels worse. Bigger. Heavier. He's not just skating to qualify for nationals. He's skating with a tabloid storm swirling around him, with the weight of coaches, sponsors, fans, and now, whatever is happening between him and Katsuki. He tries not to think about that last part. He tries. Izuku stands in the locker room adjusting his costume for the 10th time, a deep green gradient shirt with slashed mesh and a shimmer of gold dusted across the fabric like stardust. His hands shake whenever he tries to smooth it down. "Breathe," he whispers to himself. His voice wavers. He wishes he had someone there just to tell him he's not going to fall apart. Someone loud enough to drown out the noise in his head. He tries not to imagine spiky blonde hair and a scowl sharp enough to slice through nerves. He tries and he fails. He walks toward the tunnel leading to the rink. The air gets colder. The arena louder. The world bigger. He hears his name announced over the speakers and his heartbeat spikes. Deku. Izuku freezes. That voice. That volume. That lack of shame or self-awareness. No way. No way. He turns, almost afraid to look. Katsuki is in the stands. Not just in the stands, standing, leaning over the railing, waving his arms like a man who's never heard of public embarrassment. Holy. Katsuki Bakugu is at his competition. Izuku's breath catches hard enough to hurt. Katsuki sees him looking and of course pretends he's not yelling like a feral raccoon. His face goes red, then he pointedly crosses his arms and sits down, scowling so violently the teenagers in the seats next to him shift away. Izuku's throat goes tight. He came. He came. Why did he come? The announcer says, "Izuku Midoriya, please take the ice." Izuku skates out, heart pounding, the routine buzzing somewhere in the back of his mind. His blades touch the surface and the world narrows. Usually that would calm him. Today, it just intensifies everything. From the corner of his eye, he sees Katsuki leaning forward again. Izuku tries to breathe. Forgets to breathe. Tries again. The music starts. He launches into the opening sequence, legs stiff, breath shallow, shoulders tight. He hears Katsuki shout, "Relax your diamond shoulders." Izuku almost faceplants on the spot. The skaters waiting for their turn whip their heads around. A judge flinches. Izuku's coach covers her face with both hands. Katsuki does not care. Izuku flushes hot but. His shoulders loosen. His chest expands. His spine straightens. He pushes into his footwork, faster than in practice, sharper. His blades carve perfect arcs into the ice. His body finally feels like it's his again. A clean triple toe loop. He hears, "That's right. Show how it's done." The crowd laughs. Izuku doesn't falter. Next jump, triple axel. His nemesis. His monster. He glides backward, gathers speed, arms steady. He sees Katsuki on his feet again, hands cupped around his mouth. "You've got this, Deku. Land the demon thing." Izuku launches. Pose. Perfectly. The audience gasps, then erupts. Izuku almost bursts into tears mid-spin. The rest of the routine unfolds like water flowing, effortless, alive. Every breath synced. Every line sharp. Confidence rising with every second. When the music ends, he slides into his final pose, chest heaving, sweat clinging to his temples. And Katsuki is on his feet. Cheering. Clapping like he's trying to start a fire. Grinning so hard it's nearly feral. Izuku's vision blurs. He skates off the ice before he can do something stupid like cry in front of everyone. But Katsuki's voice is still echoing in his chest, loud and impossible to ignore. Katsuki doesn't know what the hell he's doing here. He told Kirishima and Denki he was just checking the stadium out. He told himself he just happened to be passing by. He told the Uber driver nothing, because he refused to explain why he was sweating before he even got out of the car. He is not here to watch Deku skate. He's absolutely not. And now he's sitting in the stands, heart punching his ribs like it's trying to escape through his throat, watching Izuku step onto the ice in that stupid sparkly green shirt that makes him look like he stepped out of a fairy tale. Katsuki growls under his breath. He didn't plan this. He didn't think this through. He didn't know seeing Izuku skate in person would feel like being hit with a DMN truck. Izuku looks tiny on the ice. And then the music starts. And he doesn't look tiny at all. He owns the ice. Graceful. Determined. Fierce. And holy shit, Katsuki can't breathe. He didn't plan to yell. He didn't plan to draw attention. But when he sees Izuku's shoulders tightening, panic clawing up his posture, Katsuki's body reacts on pure instinct. Relax your demon shoulders. A few people flinch. One child covers their ears. Whatever. Izuku relaxes. And Katsuki feels hurt. Like something unclenches inside him too. Then Izuku jumps and Katsuki is yelling again. By the time the triple axel comes up, Katsuki is half out of his seat, scaring a woman with her popcorn. When Izuku lands it, Katsuki thinks he might actually explode from pride. Pride. Over Deku. Over figure skating. God, what is happening to him? Izuku's final pose hits, music fading, and Katsuki is on his feet, clapping like a maniac before he realizes he's doing it. People stare. Katsuki does not care. His chest feels too full, his grin impossible to hide. He watches Izuku skate off the ice fast, flushed, trembling. Not from nerves. From victory. Confidence. Relief. Katsuki grips the railing, knuckles white. He came here by accident. But the truth sits heavy in his chest now. He came for Deku. He stayed for him too. And he is absolutely, hopelessly screwed. Izuku. Izuku escapes into the hallway behind the rink, heart hammering as he presses his back to the wall. His breath shakes out of him in frantic bursts. He should be focusing on his score. On nationals. On everything except footsteps. Izuku JRKS upright. Katsuki stands at the end of the hall, hands in his pockets, face redder than Izuku's competition roses. Hey, Katsuki mutters. Izuku swallows. Came. Katsuki shrugs aggressively. I was in the area. You live an hour away. Traffic was good. Izuku bites back a smile. Katsuki steps closer, stops about an arm's length away. He looks like he's fighting himself, jaw tense, fingers tapping inside his pockets. You skated good, Katsuki says low and gruff. Izuku's heart does something dangerous. Thanks. You're yelling, he helped. Katsuki's ears go pink. I wasn't yelling for you. I was yelling because your diamond posture was pissing me off. Izuku laughs. So, breathless. Katsuki's eyes flick to his mouth and back so fast Izuku barely catches it. Barely. Izuku steps just a little closer, enough to feel the heat coming off him. Still, he whispers, I'm really glad you were there. Katsuki's breath falters. And for a moment, for a terrifying, intoxicating moment, it feels like Katsuki might lean in. He doesn't. He steps back, clearing his throat violently. Go get your score, nerd. Izuku smiles despite the sting of disappointment. He nods and walks toward the kiss and cry area. But he can feel Katsuki's stare burning into his back with every step. And it's warm. And terrifying. And thrilling. He skated his best routine of the season today. Because Katsuki Bakugo showed up. And Izuku doesn't know what that means yet. But he's starting to think it means everything. Izuku. Izuku doesn't realize how bad the storm is until he steps out of the rink and the wind nearly knocks him backwards. Snow whips across the parking lot in thick, frantic sheets. The cars are dusted white already, half buried. Street lights flicker like they're struggling to stay alive. He pulls his jacket tight around himself and checks the time. 9:47 p.m. He stayed too late. He'd been practicing spins he didn't even need to practice right now, just something to keep his mind busy. Something to distract him from the sound of Katsuki's yell echoing in his chest whenever he let his guard down. The rink manager pokes his head out the door. You heading home, Midoriya? Storm's hitting harder than expected. Izuku hesitates. Yeah, I should. But as soon as he takes another step, a gust of icy wind bites through him so sharply he flinches. His phone vibrates an alert from the weather service. Severe weather warning, roads unsafe. Visibility near zero. Travel not advised. His stomach sinks. He turns back toward the rink, but the door swings open on its own as if an answer, only it's not the manager. It's Katsuki, wearing a hoodie half dusted with snow, hair damp, cheeks flushed, expression annoyed in a way that always covers up something softer. Katsuki looks him over. Don't even think about stepping outside. Izuku opens his mouth. Kaken, I have to get home. No, you don't, Katsuki snaps. Roads are shut down. Rinks locking up. He JRKS his chin behind him. Manager said anyone here has to stay until morning. Izuku's breath catches. I'm stuck here. You're stuck with me, nerd, Katsuki says, rolling his eyes. Big difference. Izuku's heart stutters painfully. He tries to hide how flustered he is. Right? Of course. Katsuki steps back inside and Izuku follows him, shutting the storm out behind them. The rink feels different at night, quieter, hums echoing through the huge empty space, lights dimmed, cold air settling like a blanket. Izuku tries not to panic at the idea of spending the night alone in a snowed-in rink with Katsuki. He fails miserably. Break room later. The break room is small, lit by a single overhead bulb that buzzes faintly. 2 chairs. A worn couch. A coffee machine that sounds like it's dying. A heater that takes 10 minutes to warm up. Katsuki tosses Izuku a blanket from the supply closet. You'll freeze your butt off otherwise. Izuku catches it awkwardly. Thanks. They sit on opposite ends of the couch, the silence heavy enough to press down on Izuku's ribs. He wraps the blanket around his shoulders, but his fingers still tremble. Katsuki notices. Of course he notices. You good? Izuku nods too quickly. Yeah, fine. Totally fine. Katsuki snorts. You're a sheet liar. Izuku sighs, pulling the blanket tighter. Storms just make me nervous. It's embarrassing to admit. It makes him feel childish. Katsuki's voice drops, softer than Izuku has ever heard it. Yeah, I get that. Izuku glances over. Katsuki looks strangely thoughtful, staring at the heater like it holds answers to questions he's never said out loud. Izuku gathers his courage. What about storm scares you? Katsuki huffs. Didn't say I was scared. Izuku lifts a brow. You just said you get it. Katsuki glares at him for a long second, then looks away. Fine. I don't like winter blackouts. Why? Katsuki shrugs in that stiff, defensive way that means it actually matters. Happened a lot when I was a kid. House got freezing. Power out for hours. Mom freaked out, Dad couldn't fix it, everything felt. I dunno. He breaks off, jaw tight. Izuku's heart squeezes. Katsuki rarely talks like this, raw, unfiltered. Thank you for telling me, Izuku says quietly. Katsuki shrugs again, but his shoulders relax a little. Izuku stares down at his hands, fingertips cold. I guess storms make me think of deadlines. Pressure. If I get stuck or fall behind. He swallows. It feels like failing. Katsuki gives him a look not mocking, not sharp. Something else. You don't fail, he says simply. Izuku's breath catches. He chokes out a soft laugh. Kaken, you've called me a failure like 100 times. Yeah, Katsuki mutters, when you were being annoying. Not since you started skating like a maniac. Izuku blushes. Katsuki notices. Looks away fast. The heater finally kicks properly, warm air drifting over their legs. The storm howls outside the walls, but inside the room, everything feels strangely gentle. Izuku inches slightly closer on the couch. Not enough to touch. Just enough to feel Katsuki's warmth. Katsuki pretends he doesn't notice. Izuku pretends he's not silently screaming inside. Katsuki. This was not how he planned to spend his night. He came down to grab something he left in the team locker room. And instead found Deku practically blowing away in the DMN parking lot like a lost green sparrow. And there was no way in hell Katsuki was leaving him here alone. Not in a blizzard. Not when he looked like he was 2 seconds from having a panic attack. Not ever, actually. Katsuki rubs the back of his neck and glances sideways. Deku's sitting there wrapped in a blanket like a burrito, hair sticking up even worse than usual, cheeks pink from the cold. His eyes are soft and tired. He looks small, fragile, and Katsuki hates how much it makes something inside his chest clench. The storm cracks against the roof. Deku jumps. Without thinking, Katsuki shifts closer until their knees almost brush. It's instinct. It's dumb. He doesn't regret it. Deku relaxes by maybe 1%. Katsuki counts that as a win. Deku starts talking again, quiet at first, then more open. Dreams about nationals. What scares him? The pressure he puts on himself. Katsuki listens. Actually listens. Deku's voice cracks softly. And Katsuki feels something wordless and painful twist deep inside. He wants to fix it. He wants to take the weight off Deku's shoulders. He stops the thought before it goes too far. Instead, he says, "What's that on your arm?" Deku stiffens. Katsuki frowns. Deku, what the hell is that? Izuku hesitates, then pushes the blanket aside, pulling up his sleeve. Faint silver lines run across his skin, some thin, some deeper, some old and barely visible. Training scars. Lots of them. Katsuki's jaw drops. Why the hell didn't you say anything? Izuku's voice is small. They're just from falls. And blades. And, blocking drills. I'm fine. No, you're not. Katsuki's voice goes rough. You shouldn't be getting hurt like that. It happens to everyone, Izuku insists, flustered. Kaken, really, it's okay? No, it's not, Katsuki snaps again, softer this time. I didn't know you pushed yourself that hard. Izuku's eyes soften with something that hits Katsuki directly in the ribs. I wanted to be good enough, Izuku whispers. Katsuki stares at him. You already are. Izuku freezes like he's been struck. Katsuki swears under his breath and drags a hand through his hair. I mean, you work harder than anyone. You're stupidly dedicated. Too dedicated, actually. But you're incredible on the ice. Izuku's breath trembles. He looks at Katsuki like he's hearing something impossible. Katsuki looks away again, ears burning. A long silence settles. Then another loud crack of wind shakes the building. Deku jumps again, violently this time. His blanket slips off one shoulder. Katsuki's body moves before his brain does. He reaches out and steadies him with a hand on his back. Careful. Deku shivers at the touch. Not from cold. Katsuki should pull away. He doesn't. Izuku. Katsuki's hand is warm. Too warm. Spread across his back in a way that sends heat spiraling up his spine. Izuku sits perfectly still. Katsuki murmurs, "You're all right. It's just wind. Just wind." Izuku nods, but his heartbeat is loud enough to drown out everything else. Katsuki doesn't move his hand. Izuku doesn't want him to. The heater hums, the storm rages, and the room shrinks around them until it feels like there is no world except this couch. This warmth. This closeness Izuku has dreamed about for years without ever daring to admit it. His voice comes out soft. Barely a whisper. Thank you for staying. Katsuki's breath hitches almost imperceptibly. You think I'd leave you here alone? Idiot. Izuku's lips curve. You call me that a lot. You are one. Izuku's smile grows. Katsuki's hand slides up slightly just enough that Izuku feels it along the curve of his shoulder blade. Their eyes meet. The air changes. Slow. Electric. Katsuki moves closer by a fraction. Izuku mirrors him without thinking. They're so close now their breaths mix, warm clouds between them. Izuku can see every detail of Katsuki's face, the faint freckles across his nose, the scar near his eyebrow, the way his eyes soften at the edges when he isn't angry. Katsuki's voice drops to a whisper. Deku. He says it differently this time. So, almost gentle. Almost affectionate. Izuku's breath catches. Yeah, he whispers back. Katsuki's gaze flicks to his mouth. Slow. Intentional. Izuku feels it like a touch. He can't breathe. Katsuki leans in. Slow. Careful. Like he's afraid Izuku might disappear if he moves too fast. Izuku leans in too. Their foreheads touch first. Solid. NTMT in a way that steals Izuku's air. Katsuki whispers, "Tell me to stop." Izuku whispers back, "Don't." Katsuki's breath trembles against his cheek. And then, softly, gently, his lips brush Izuku's. Not a crash. Not a firestorm. Just warmth. A slow, careful press of mouths. Tentative. Tender. Katsuki kisses like he's learning how to be gentle and terrified of doing it wrong. Izuku melts. He lifts a hand, fingers brushing Katsuki's jaw, and Katsuki makes a small noise, surprised, vulnerable, and kisses him again. Deeper. Still soft. The storm outside howls. The heater hums. Their lips move in slow, warm pulses, breath mixing, hearts thundering. Izuku feels weightless. When they finally pull back, they're still close enough that their noses bump. Katsuki's voice is rough. Sheet. Izuku smiles shakily. That's one way to describe it. Katsuki huffs a tiny laugh. He rests his forehead against Izuku's again. And for the first time in years, Izuku isn't worried about storms, or competitions, or expectations. He's warm. He's safe. He's with Katsuki. And Katsuki just kissed him like it meant something. Katsuki. The rink feels different now. Not because the temperature has changed or because the snowstorm from last night left the walls humming with trapped cold. It's something else entirely. The moment Izuku steps onto the ice that morning, scarf wrapped around his neck, hair still messy from sleep, the whole place shifts. Like the center of gravity tilts toward him. Like everything I do today is going to orbit around whatever expression he makes. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. He skates a slow warm-up lap, shyly glancing at me every few seconds. Each time his eyes flick my way, he blushes so fast it looks like someone pressed a heater to his cheeks. And every single time, I feel my chest do a stupid, embarrassing lurch. It's the snowstorm's fault. Probably. Spending the night together, talking about things I don't talk about with anyone, seeing his scars, that first kiss that still feels like it's sitting warm and glowing behind my ribs. Definitely the snowstorm's fault. But Kogu, he calls, doing a careful stop at the boards. We should start. He's stuttering again. I grab the practice H's and gesture for him to come closer. Get over here, nerd. He does, shoulders bouncing nervously. He's already flushed, and we haven't even started. This is going to kill me. When he steps close enough for me to clip him in, his breath catches. Not dramatically, just a tiny hitch. But I feel it. And my fingers move slower than necessary, brushing his waist more times than I'd admit. You're doing the jumps with me spotting today, I say. I want to see your rotation clean. He nods, determined. Let's do our best. When did it become our best? I don't correct him. Izuku skates back, takes a breath, and pushes into a tight 3-turn before launching into a double loop. It's messy, a bit under-rotated, but I catch him with one hand before he tilts too far. His skates skid, spraying frost onto my shoes, and he lands practically chest-first into me. His hands slap onto my chest for balance. And he freezes. I freeze. We're idiots. Sorry, he squeaks, trying to untangle himself. I hold him steady for a second, because if he falls right now, I'm the one who'll get blamed. Relax. It's training. His eyes dart up. Alright. Training. Yeah, we're not fooling anyone. After a few more attempts, he scrunches his nose. I can't get the height today. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. You're thinking too damn much, I say, stepping closer. Come here. He blinks. WH. I grab him. By the waist. With both hands. And lift. Straight up. Like he weighs nothing. Izuku lets out the world's tiniest squeak, hands grabbing my shoulders as I hoist him into the air to demonstrate the center of gravity shift he keeps messing up. His legs kick instinctively, skates dangling. I'm going to die of how cute this is. Kei Katsuki. Put me down. No, I turn slowly so he can feel where the lift should start. See? Balance. Stop panicking. I'm not panicking. You just squeaked. That wasn't I didn't Katsuki. I lower him only when his blush reaches critical levels. When his skates hit the ice, he leans forward to hide his face. I can't stop smirking. You're in butt, he mumbles. Yeah. But you're getting the technique. He looks up, almost pouting, almost smiling. God help me. Izuku. Katsuki Bakugu is trying to kill me. Not directly. Not with fire or explosions or yelling like when we were kids. No, he's using a far more lethal method now. Affection. Strength. Casual touches that make my brain melt. And the way he says my name like it belongs in his mouth. He's been soft all day. Soft in a Katsuki way, which means gruff, intimidating, and somehow gentle without meaning to be. I don't stand a chance. He watches every movement I make like he's tracking something precious. And when I get off balance, he's there instantly, hands firm on my waist, on my elbow, on my back, steadying me like it's nothing. Like I'm nothing to lift. I can't think straight. At one point he grabs me mid-air, holding me against his chest to show me the center of gravity. His hands were so warm even through my training top. I nearly combusted. Kaken, I try again, cheeks still burning. I really don't think you had to lift me like that. You weren't getting it, he says, offended I even dared question him. But you lifted me like I was a feather. Because you are a feather, nerd. That's not. I'm not. He rolls his eyes, but I swear there's a smile hidden there. Just shut up and skate. My heart is not equipped for this level of softness disguised as grumpiness. An hour into training, Katsuki takes a hard fall during a jump. His landing foot slips out from under him and he hits the ice with a painful, bone-cracking thud. Kaken. I rush over, dropping to my knees beside him. Are you hurt? He grimaces. I'm fine. He is very obviously not fine. He tries to stand and immediately hisses through his teeth. You're sitting down, I order before I can second-guess myself. He glares but doesn't argue, which is how I know he's actually hurting. I help him to the bench, physical contact sending little electric shocks up my arms. When he sits, I grab the first aid kit and kneel in front of him. He looks away like he can't handle being fussed over. Show me, I say softly. He lifts his pant leg, revealing an ugly bruise already blooming across his shin. ICK in a breath. Katsuki. It's nothing. It's not nothing. He grunts something under his breath, but he lets me take over. I dab disinfectant on the scrape near the bruise. He flinches, jaw clenching, but stays still. The world narrows to the warmth of his skin and the quiet tension between us as I wrap the bandage carefully around his leg. You don't have to do this every time, he mutters. I want to, I say without thinking. I mean, I want to help. Because we're training together now, right? He looks at me for a long moment. Then nods. Yeah. We're trouble. Katsuki. He fusses like a mother hen. But he's gentle. Ridiculously gentle. Like he's scared to hurt me even when his touch feels like a feather. Thanks, I mutter when he ties the bandage. Beams. Beams. Like I just gave him an award. I have to look away so I don't embarrass myself. Training resumes after that, lighter stuff only, but he sticks close to me. Every time he skates past, his fingers brush mine. Not by accident. Definitely not. We're orbiting each other. And honestly, I'm done pretending we're not. When we finish for the day, I pull the small bag from my locker. Hey. Catch. He turns, confused. I toss it. He scrambles, drops it, picks it up like it's fragile. What is this? A scarf. He opens the bag. And freezes. It's green. The exact shade of his eyes. Soft and fluffy and undeniably chosen with him in mind. He doesn't speak. Doesn't blink. Doesn't breathe. Your old one is, I say, crossing my arms to hide the fact that this suddenly feels vulnerable. It's frayed and ugly and you keep forgetting it at home. So, I got you a new one. Izuku lifts the scarf with both hands like it's holy. Then his face erupts in the most violent blush I've ever seen. He makes a noise somewhere between a whine, a squeak, and the sound of a kettle boiling. Katsuki, he stammers as his entire soul short-circuits. I step closer. He squeaks louder. I loop the scarf around his neck myself, tugging it snug. There, I say, voice softer than I intend. Fits. He stares at me like the world just shifted under his feet. Kaken, he whispers, thank you. I swallow hard. I like you in green. His breath catches. We're standing too close again. And this time I don't pull away. Izuku. The scarf is warm. Katsuki is warmer. His fingers brush my neck when he adjusts it and I genuinely think my legs might stop working. He's close enough that I can see the tiny flecks of crimson in his eyes. Close enough to smell the hint of sweat and winter air clinging to him. Close enough that if I lean forward the tiniest bit, Katsuki tilts his head, like he's thinking the same thing. My heart slams against my ribs so loudly I'm sure he hears it. Katsuki, I breathe. Yeah, he murmurs. I don't kiss him. He doesn't kiss me. But everything about us is leaning toward that moment. The space between us hums. We're unofficial partners now. Training together. Orbiting each other. Falling into something neither of us can deny. And when he finally slings an arm casually way too casually over my shoulders as we leave the rink together, the scarf still warm around my neck. I know we're not going back. Izuku. The rink is louder than usual when I walk in, all bright lights and echoing blades. Regionals being over means the place is full of visiting skaters using the rink before the next competition wave hits. I should have expected the crowd, but it still knocks the wind out of me. What I don't expect is the tall foreign skater leaning against the boards like he owns the place. He turns when I step onto the ice. Sharp jawline, hair the color of frost, bright blue eyes. He grins the moment he recognizes me. Nikolai Petrov. European champion. One of the flashiest show skaters in the world. Absolutely shameless. Midoriya Izuku, he calls out, waving despite being 3 rinks away. His accent is rich, dramatic. He glides toward me with effortless speed, stopping inches from my toes. The green-eyed angel himself. I blink. Hi. You know me. He laughs lightly. Everyone knows you. That triple axel at regionals? Beautiful. He places a hand over his heart. You stole my breath, darling. Darling. My mouth moves silently like a fish. Nikolai leans down just a little, close enough that I can smell expensive cologne and a hint of winter air. You must let me skate with you sometime. I would love to see your form up close. I'm pretty sure steam is coming out of my ears. I'm training with someone. Oh. Nikolai tilts his head, amused. A boyfriend? I choke on nothing. No, not he's just. Before I can finish, a blade carves violently across the ice to my left, spraying cold shards in an arc. A familiar voice snaps across the rink like a whip. Knew you'd find the biggest idiot here to talk to. My heart jumps. Katsuki. He skates up, shoulders tense, eyes sharp and dangerously unimpressed. He doesn't look at me, he's too busy staring down Nikolai like he's deciding where best to bury the body. Nikolai raises a brow, unbothered. And you are? Not interested, Katsuki growls. In my name? Nikolai smirks. Or in Midoriya? Katsuki's nostrils flare. Both. The temperature on the rink drops 10 degrees. Nikolai steps even closer to me, brushing a piece of hair away from my forehead with 2 fingers. Then perhaps Midoriya will answer for him. We were discussing skating together, no. I practically yelp and stumble back. Katsuki lunges. Not actually at Nikolai, more like in front of me, blocking him with his entire body. Close enough that I can see the tension in his neck, the tightness in his shoulders. He said no. I blink. I didn't actually. He, Katsuki repeats, not even looking back at me, said no. Nikolai only laughs, tipping his head like he thinks this is adorable. Protective. How sweet. Katsuki's blade scrapes forward just an inch. Back off. Nikolai lifts his hands surrender style. Very well. But you can't blame me for admiring beauty when I see it. He winks at me. Katsuki makes a sound like a growl. Nikolai skates away with a cocky swish of his hips, and I'm left staring at Katsuki's back as he mutters curse words under his breath. I should say something. I want to say something. But Katsuki suddenly moves away from me coldly, sharply, like I've touched a burn. Warm up, he snaps. You're wasting time. My heart sinks. He's avoiding looking at me, clenching his jaw. Distant. Why is he acting like that? Like he's mad at me? Did he regret the kiss? Is that why he's suddenly acting like this? The thought hurts more than any fall ever has. Katsuki. I'm going to kill him. Actually kill him. That frost-haired dipshit was leaning all over Izuku like they were about to make out on the goddamn ice. His hand was on his hair. His face was too close. He called him darling. I'm going to jail. For murder. Happily. I watch from the corner of my eye as Izuku moves into his warm-up spins. He keeps fidgeting, checking over his shoulder like he's afraid Nikolai is going to swoop in again. I grit my teeth. Stupid foreign bestiardy. Kirishima skates by and shoves my shoulder. Bro. You're radiating murder vibes. It's kinda concerning. I should have snapped his blade in. You can't break a man's skate because he flirted with someone you like. My eye twitches. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Kirishima just cackles. So why'd you almost body check him into the bleachers? Because F you. Kirishima's grin widens. You're jealous. I push off the ice hard. I'm not jealous. You are, Kirishima sing-songs, following me. Dude, you were staring at Midoriya like a dragon guarding treasure. He's not, I'm not. I choke on my own trail of words. Shut up. But the worst part? Izuku hasn't looked at me properly since. Something flickered in his eyes earlier, something unsure and hurt. And that makes my stomach drop. Did he think I was mad at him? I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at that peacock-flavored show-off who thought he could breathe the same air as Izuku. Minute. I skate over to him again without thinking. You're dropping your shoulder on the rotation, I bark. Izuku nods quickly without meeting my eye. Okay. Sorry. Sorry? Why the hell is he apologizing? For existing? For being flirted with? I feel sick. I swallow hard. Do it again. He does. And it's perfect. But he still won't look at me. I hate it. I hate that I caused it. I hate that I don't know how to fix it. Izuku. By the time practice ends, I'm emotionally wrung out. Katsuki barely spoke except to critique me. He kept his distance. Not even a joking insult. When I reached for my water bottle, he stepped back like my hand was aflame. Every time I thought about the kiss, my chest tightened. Maybe he regretted it. Maybe he didn't want me to think it meant anything. Maybe he was embarrassed. The bold foreign skater probably didn't help. Katsuki thought I maybe encouraged it. My stomach twists painfully. When we finally leave the ice, I gather my things in silence. Katsuki storms ahead, jaw tight. I reach into my bag and realize my scarf is still in the locker room. I'll hold on. I call, running back around the corner. I grab it, press it to my chest, breathing in the faint scent of cedar and winter. I wrap it around my neck before walking back out. And stop dead. Katsuki is talking to Nikolai. No arguing with him. You think he'd be safer with you? Katsuki snarls. You don't even know him. I know beauty, Nikolai replies calmly. And he is extraordinary. Katsuki bristles. He's not some toy for you to play with. Oh. Nikolai smirks. And what is he to you then? Katsuki hesitates. My breath catches. Everything goes quiet. Katsuki opens his mouth. But his eyes flick toward me. He sees me. And whatever he was about to say dies on his tongue. He shuts down instantly, expression hardening into that unreadable mask he used to wear in high school. Doesn't matter, he snaps. Just stay in your FNG lane. He turns away. I feel something in my chest crack. Doesn't matter. But. Maybe to him, it really doesn't. Midoriya, Nikolai says gently behind me, if you ever want a partner who appreciates. I'm fine, I say quickly, bowing stiffly. Thank you. Then I walk away. I don't look back. Katsuki. I screwed up. Like spectacularly. Izuku won't look at me the entire walk outside. He doesn't talk. His steps are small, careful, like he's trying not to take up space. Katsuki, he finally says softly. It's okay. No, it's not. That tone is wrong. Too calm, too sad. I grab his wrist before he can turn away. He freezes. Let go. No, I breathe. Wait. He swallows, eyes still not meeting mine. You don't have to explain. It's fine if you regret if that kiss was I get it. Really? What? My heart stops cold. Izuku forces a small smile. You don't have to pretend. I know I'm not someone like you would. Oh hell no. Izuku. My voice cracks. Stop. He falls silent. I take a step closer. Then another. Slowly, like approaching a frightened animal. You think I regret kissing you? Izuku looks down. Don't you? I choke on a laugh, one full of disbelief and pain. I've been losing my goddamn mind all day because I liked it too much. Izuku's head snaps up. I wasn't distant because of you, I say, voice low. I was distant because if I looked at you, I was gonna fight every person within 20 feet for breathing in your direction. He blushes so hard he could melt the snow beneath us. But Nikolai, Izuku starts. Nikolai, I say instantly. He can flirt with a wall for all I care. I don't want him near you. Izuku laughs weakly. Katsuki, that's. I was jealous. Said it. My pride dies a heroic, necessary death. Izuku's eyes soften. I thought you were mad at me. Mad at you? I grab both his hands. I was mad because someone else was touching what I swallow. Someone else was touching you. He blinks. Katsuki. I like you, I whisper, forehead touching his. I really effing like you. Izuku trembles. His hands clutch my jacket. And then, he crashes into me. Not a kiss. Not yet. Just a desperate, tight hug, like he's trying to anchor himself to me. Katsuki, he breathes against my chest. I was so scared you regretted everything. I wrap my arms around him, pulling him close enough to feel his heartbeat. I'm an idiot. I know. A cute idiot, he whispers. I snort. Watch it. He smiles against me. We stand there in the cold, snow falling quietly, holding onto each other like the world finally makes sense. Eventually, I nudge his cheek. We should get you home. You're freezing. You're warm, Izuku murmurs. My face heats. Shut up. He leans in soft and shy. Katsuki? Yeah. Wanna come back to my place? Maybe you can keep me warm? I blink. Then I grab his hand firmly. Come on, I mutter. But only because you're cold. He giggles. We end up curled together in the empty lounge room in his apartment, blankets piled high, his head on my chest and my arm around his waist. His fingers trace lazy circles on my shirt. Mine card through his curls. It feels stupidly perfect. No kisses tonight. Just warmth. Just holding each other. Just us. And for the first time in a long time, jealousy and fear melt away. What's left is simple. I want him. And he wants me too. Izuku. Nationals always feels huge. The arena hums like a living creature, banners fluttering, people shifting in their seats, the bright white sweep of the ice glowing beneath spotlights. Cameras line every corner. Judges sit stiffly, pens poised like threats. The air is cold enough to bite. And somewhere in the I haven't spotted Katsuki yet, but I know. I can feel him. It's ridiculous how much steadier that makes me. How much I want him to see me skate my best. The backstage area buzzes with nervous skaters stretching, whispering, pacing. I sit in my warm-up jacket, hands trembling slightly in my lap, scarf tucked safely beneath my collar like a good luck charm. Katsuki's scarf. The green one he'd wrapped around me that night like it was the most natural thing in the world. I breathe in. I can do this. Warm-ups go smoothly until they don't. My triple flip feels sluggish. My salchow is stiff. And when I try the axle rotation, I slip. Just a tiny drag of my toe pick, but enough that I have to throw my arm out to catch myself. My blood runs cold. Not now. Not today. Skaters glance at me with that mixture of pity and competitive delight that only athletes understand. I force a smile at my coach, but inside, panic blooms sharp and fast. I need something. Something grounding. Something familiar. Someone. I scan the crowd. And then like the universe hears me, I spot him. Katsuki is squished between Kirishima and Todoroki, arms crossed, scowl intense enough to ignite the seats. His foot taps impatiently, knee bouncing. His eyes stay glued to me with laser focus. When our gazes meet, he mouths something. 3 sharp, unmistakable words. Don't you dare. My breath catches. Then he points to his chest and mouths another. You got this. The fear stalls. Wavers. Warmth floods in its place. I nod once small, shaky, and he nods back. The music from the program before mine fades. Applause rises and falls. The announcer calls my name, and the crowd erupts. Spotlights shift. The ice becomes my world. I step onto it, blade touching the surface like an old friend. Just breathe. I take my opening pose. The music begins. And everything falls away except the cold beneath my feet, the air in my lungs, and Katsuki's voice in my head. Don't you dare give up. You're the strongest diamond skater here. Push off. And fly. The first minute is clean. Strong edges, centered spins, smooth footwork. The crowd claps in time with my steps. My heart hammers, but every beat feels rhythmic, controlled. Then comes the jump. The one I slipped on in warm-ups. The one that could make or break my score. My axle. I gather speed, arms pulling in tight. The entry edge curves perfectly. But in the air I don't. Just a fraction. Just enough that I feel it. The balance going wrong. The rotation wobbling. The sickening drop in my stomach. I'm going to fall. Not today. And right in that moment, Katsuki's voice blasts through my head, clear as if he's standing on the ice screaming at me. Izuku, center your goddamn core. My muscles snap into place. I realign. I force the spin back onto its axis. I land. Perfectly. The crowd gasps. And then roars. I don't dare look at him yet. If I do, I'll break. The rest of the program blurs into instinct and adrenaline. A blur of color. A rush of cold air. Grace and power and a heart full of something bright and overwhelming. I hit my final pose with my chest heaving and knees shaking, but somehow still upright. The audience explodes. I stay frozen for a moment, stunned, breath trapped somewhere between a sob and a laugh. I did it. I actually did it. The camera zooms in on my face and I try not to cry. But then I finally let myself look into the stands. And Katsuki is on his feet. Red eyes shining. Jaw clenched. Hands balled into fists. Kirishima is cheering like a maniac. Todoroki is politely clapping. But Katsuki, he looks like he's seconds from either punching the air or crying. I wave at him. Just a little. He abruptly looks away, swiping a thumb under his eyes so fast anyone else might miss it. I don't. My heart trips. Katsuki almost cried. For me. Katsuki. He landed it. That stupid axle, that stupid jump that's been making him stress eat granola bars for weeks, he landed it. After a mid-air wobble that nearly aged me 40 years in 2 seconds. My legs gave out. Not literally, but figuratively. I'm pretty sure Kirishima's hand on my shoulder is the only thing keeping me upright. I didn't cry. I didn't. I might have. The worst part is how proud I am. How FING proud. Izuku bows, cheeks flushed, eyes shining like he swallowed a star. The whole arena loves him. They chant his name like he's a hero. My chest squeezes almost painfully. And then, he looks at me. Right at me. His smile widens, soft and trembling, and I feel something in my ribs crack open. Dude, Kirishima whispers, you're crying. I'm not. You are, Todoroki adds blankly. Quite a lot, actually. I punch Todoroki in the arm. He doesn't even flinch. Izuku comes off the ice glowing, practically vibrating, and I push through people to get to him. By the time I reach the hallway, he's in the kiss and cry with his coach, waiting for scores. He sees me anyway. Our eyes lock. I shouldn't go in. It's his moment. There are cameras. But screw it. I stalk into the area just as he steps out. He turns toward me, breathless, and it happens too fast to think about. I grab him, arms around his waist, yanking him in. He squeaks, laughing breathlessly. Kei Katsuki, you almost effing died out there. I what? No, I didn't. You almost fell on your face. But I didn't. My voice breaks. You idiot. Izuku softens in my arms. I remembered what you said. My throat closes. I pull him even closer until our foreheads touch. You were incredible, I mutter. I've never been that scared and that proud at the same time. Izuku's breath hitches. His hands slide up my back, curling in my shirt. The hallway is loud, but suddenly it's just us. Just warmth. Just shaking breaths. Just a feeling that's been brewing for weeks. You came for me, he whispers. I always come for you, I say without thinking. Izuku blushes so hard I feel the heat against my skin. Izuku. The scores went up on the giant screen above us. Second place. A silver medal. A very real, very heavy, very mine silver medal. My hands covered my mouth. My eyes burned. I did it. Before I could react, before I could think or breathe, someone barreled into me. Strong arms wrapped around my waist. I was actually lifted off the ground and spun in a full circle. You did it. Katsuki yelled in my ear. You effing did it, nerd. The arena burst into giggles and cheers. Kei Katsuki. I yelped, laughing, clutching onto his shoulders as he spun me faster. Put me down. Dizzy. Nope, he barked and spun me again. Not until it sinks in. I felt his chest shaking with laughter. Real laughter. I'd seen it maybe twice. When he finally lowered me, he didn't let go. His hands stayed on my waist, fingers gripping just enough to make my legs wobble. The noise around us faded. Everyone was watching. But neither of us cared. His eyes were warm, molten and soft in a way that made my breath catch. Deku, he whispered. He took my medal in his fingers, brushing the ribbon lightly. I'm proud of you. I froze. My heart didn't beat, it exploded. Kei Katsuki. He swallowed. Then he leaned forward slightly, forehead almost touching mine. Listen, he said, voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. I know I'm shit at this. Talking. Feelings. Whatever. But he exhaled shakily. I like you. My breath stopped. I like you so much it pisses me off. The arena collectively squealed. My face burned. Katsuki, I whispered. His hand slid up to cup my cheek, thumb warm against my skin. If you don't want this, tell me, he breathed. Tell me and I'll back off. I'll try to. But if you do, if you want me, then I'm yours. Okay. Something inside me broke open. Soft and aching and overflowing. I grabbed the front of his jacket. I want you, I whispered. I've wanted you for so long. His eyes widened. Then he kissed me. Fully. Deeply. In front of the entire arena. And the crowd erupted screaming, cheering, clapping, but none of it reached me. All I felt was him. His mouth moving against mine, gentle and certain. his hands pulling me close like he'd been waiting years. His breath mingling with mine. When we finally broke apart, panting, he rested his forehead against mine. "Guess that answers that," he muttered. My smile was unstoppable. "We're official?" I asked softly. "Hell yes, we're official." The moment he said he wanted me, I swear I forgot how to breathe. And when he kissed me back, I didn't care who was watching. This was ours. He pulled away too soon for my liking, cheeks red and eyes shining. I grabbed his hand, interlaced our fingers, held them tight. He squeezed back. We stood like that as cameras flashed and commentators squealed and Kirishima and Todoroki yelled something encouraging from the stands. But Izuku only looked at me. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Izuku. Later, when the medal ceremony ended and the arena emptied bit by bit, Katsuki and I slipped into a quieter corner of the rink. Still public. Still open. But mostly ours. He cupped my waist, pulling me close again. His breath was warm on my neck. "You know," he murmured, "once everyone leaves, I want to celebrate properly." Heat coiled in my stomach. Oh, yeah," he said, smirking slightly. "Thinking maybe I could kiss you senseless. Maybe more." My blush practically set the walls on fire. Katsuki, there are still people. "Don't care," he murmured, brushing a kiss against my jaw. I melted. He kissed me again, slow and claiming, and I leaned into it, hands sliding into his hair, mouth opening under his. If this was what being official felt like. I never wanted it to end. I don't know how the hell I let him talk me into this. Yeah, okay, that's a lie, I know exactly how. Izuku Midoriya, professional figure skater, sunshine incarnate. Now my boyfriend smiles at me and my entire nervous system goes offline. It's pathetic. I'm pathetic. And that's how I ended up standing in the center of the rink early on a Sunday morning, glaring murderously at the ice like it personally offended me. Izuku slid up beside me, all wrapped in the green scarf I bought him, the one he refused to take off even inside. His cheeks were pink from the cold, eyes bright as the lights glinting off the rink. "You ready?" he asked, practically bouncing. No. That only made him grin wider. "Well, too bad. Today you learn a proper figure skating spin." I crossed my arms. "I don't need to learn it." "You bet you could do it," he reminded cheerfully. "And I still have the screenshot of the message where you said, and I quote, 'I can spin better than any TWK on knives.'" "Delete that," I hissed. "Nope." God, he was cute. Disgustingly cute. "Okay," Izuku said, stepping backward and motioning for me to follow. "Let's start with something easy. Forward upright spin. Just pull your arms in and..." He demonstrated in one smooth rising motion, spinning gracefully like the world bent around him. Everything about him was controlled, elegant, and effortless. I hated how much I loved watching him. He slowed to a stop, sliding toward me with a bright little flourish. "See? Easy." I stared at him. "That's not easy. That's illegal." "It's not illegal," he laughed. "It should be." Izuku rolled his eyes fondly. "Just try it, Katsuki." Demon him. For him I'd try. I pushed off, built a little momentum, and then attempted the spin. Except, my skate hooked. My balance betrayed me. My entire soul briefly left my body. And I did it. Spectacularly. Not a little stumble. Nope. I went full horizontal, arms flailing, legs in the air, landing so hard on my back that the sound echoed like a gunshot. Arg! I saw the ceiling. I saw God. I saw the exact moment I began making bad life choices that led to this. And then, silence. Followed by a snort. Then a giggle. Full-bodied, uncontrollable laughter. Izuku skated into view, doubled over, arms wrapped around his stomach, tears in his eyes. "Oh my God, Katsuki. Are you alive? That was so." "Don't," I growled from the ice. He kept laughing. He couldn't even stand straight, he was laughing so hard. I tried to sit up. My pride hurt more than my body. You're not supposed to jump into it like a corkscrew." "I'll show you a corkscrew," I muttered, bright red. Izuku wiped his eyes, still giggling as he skated over and crouched next to me. You okay? No. He leaned closer, smile softening. You're fine. No. You're being dramatic. You're dating me, I shot back. You knew what you signed up for. He laughed again, that soft, sunshine laugh that made my heart melt into the ice. Then he reached up, running his fingers through my hair. And kissed me. Just leaned in, eyes still sparkling with laughter, and kissed me warm and slow and sweet. Like I'd done something amazing, not face-planted in front of the love of my life. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. For the record, he murmured, that was the cutest fall I've ever seen. Groaned and buried my face in his coat. I hate you. You don't, he whispered, smiling. And he was right. I didn't. Not even close. Izuku. Katsuki Bakugo cannot spin to save his life. But oh my god, he is so cute trying. He glared at the ice like it insulted his ancestors, stomped around with that hockey player swagger, and then when he finally tried the spin, launched himself like a missile. It was the single funniest thing I'd ever seen. And the single most precious. Because he only tried it because I taught him. Because he wanted to impress me. Because he loved me enough to embarrass himself on purpose. My chest felt too full watching him. Come on, I said, still grinning. Let's try again. Slower this time. Why? He muttered. So I can break my other hip? I smiled and took both his hands. Because I'm right here. His eyes flickered. Something warm and soft glowed there. Fine. We reset. This time, I stood behind him, hands on his hips, guiding the movement gently. Start small. Just turn your shoulders first. You like that? Now pull your arms in slowly. He wobbled. I steadied him. He tried again. Wobbled again. I steadied him again. We fell into a rhythm, turn, adjust, balance, breathe, punctuated every few minutes by Katsuki cursing under his breath and me laughing into his shoulder. And each time I corrected him, each time I touched his waist or brushed his hand, he softened more. His body leaned closer. His hands lingered on mine. Until finally, he managed a real spin. One full rotation. Then two. On the third, he lost his balance and grabbed me out of reflex. And we went down together in a tangled heap of limbs and laughter. I landed on top of him, breathless. He stared up at me, eyes wide and so full of fondness it made my heart ache. You did it, I whispered. That wasn't a spin. It was, I insisted, smiling. It was perfect. Katsuki's cheeks flushed. You're so sappy, he muttered. And you love it. He didn't deny it. Instead, he slid a hand behind my head and pulled me down into a kiss. Slow, lingering, tender. His fingers brushed my jaw. My hands curled into his hoodie. The world around us softened until all that existed was his breath and his warmth and the faint echo of our laughter still hanging in the air. When we finally separated, he smiled, small, rare, real. Teach me again tomorrow, he said quietly. I nodded. Every day, I promised. He helped me off the ice, still holding my hand like he planned to never let go. I didn't mind. We skated circles together, slow and lazy, our fingers intertwined and our shoulders bumping. He hummed some melody from his nationals routine. I pretended to be annoyed but pulled him closer. Sunlight streamed through the rink windows, casting gold across the ice. It felt peaceful. It felt right. You know, Izuku said suddenly, squeezing my hand, I never thought I'd get to be this happy. My chest tightened. I tugged him forward until he bumped into me, then wrapped my arms around him. Get used to it, I murmured into his hair. I'm not going anywhere. He shivered in that cute way he does when he's overwhelmed. Katsuki. I love you. Time stopped. I swallowed hard. Then held him tighter. I love you too, I whispered back. He melted completely. We stayed like that, breathing each other in, the cold air around us somehow warm. Just two idiots on ice. A skater and a hockey player. A pair that shouldn't work. But did. Perfectly. Izuku. Later, as we left the rink hand in hand, still laughing about Katsuki's spectacular fall, I glanced up at him. What? He asked. Nothing, I said, smiling. Just happy. He squeezed my hand. Yeah. Me too. And as we stepped out into the morning sun, I knew. This was only the beginning. Kirishima. The rink smelled like cold metal and freshly resurfaced ice, a sharp scent that made my nose tingle. I had come here 100 times to play hockey, to skate, to shoot pucks, to feel the burn in my legs and chest, but today something was different. There was someone else on the ice. He moved like water. Slow, precise, and smooth, every edge of his blade cutting the ice perfectly. His posture was elegant, almost regal, and yet his expression was calm, focused, lost in some world only he could see. I froze, skate tapping lightly against the ice as I watched. I had never seen anyone like him. White and red hair. Heterochromatic eyes. Half his hair falling across his pale face. That intensity. That control. That quiet perfection. I swallowed and shuffled closer, trying not to seem creepy. "Hi," I called, voice echoing slightly in the empty rink. My own words sounded ridiculously small. He paused, spinning gently to a stop, blades gripping the ice as he studied me. His gaze was cool, polite, and honestly a little intimidating. "Hello," he said, voice calm and even a hint of curiosity in his tone. I grinned nervously, scratching the back of my head. "Kirishima. I drew." "Todoroki Shuto," he replied, bowing his head slightly. His voice was soft, controlled, polite. Not cold, just quiet. I tried not to trip over my own feet while stepping closer. "You're really amazing on the ice. I've never seen anyone skate like that." He tilted his head faintly, a soft blush creeping onto his pale cheek. "Thank you. You could play hockey." I nodded, a little embarrassed that I wasn't here for figure skating. "Yeah. I'm more used to flying around with a puck than twirling gracefully, but I think you're inspiring." For a moment, the rink was quiet except for the soft scrape of his skates as he shifted. He studied me as if trying to read every word in my expression, every twitch of my nervous smile. "You seem cheerful," he finally said, voice gentle. I laughed, a little too loudly. "Yeah, I guess. I can't help it. I like people who skate beautifully. You make it look easy, but I know it isn't." There was a long pause, but it didn't feel awkward. Somehow with him, it felt even. "You watch closely?" he asked quietly. Yeah," I admitted. I couldn't help it. My heart thumped faster than normal. Really good. Really, really good." A flicker of something crossed his face. Surprise? Gratitude? He didn't look away. He just nodded faintly. "Thank you, Kirishima," he said softly. "You're very kind." And just like that, the quiet magic of the rink shifted. I didn't know if it was nerves, or just the way his calm presence made me feel lighter, but I couldn't stop smiling. "Todoroki." The rink was empty except for me. Music flowed softly through the speakers, the familiar rhythm guiding my edges, my spins, my every movement. I had always loved the silence that came with early mornings like this, the focus, the control, the quiet solitude. And then I noticed him. A red-haired boy, energetic, bright, standing near the boards with wide eyes. He was watching me, skates tapping lightly against the ice, hands shoved awkwardly into his jacket pockets. I paused mid-spin, blades gripping the ice, and tilted my head. There was something warm about him. Open. Genuine. It was a feeling I wasn't used to noticing, but it drew me in. "Hello," he called, voice a little too loud for the quiet rink. I studied him. Polite, energetic. Perhaps a little nervous. His smile was easy, unpretentious, and for some reason it made my chest feel lighter. "Hello," I said, voice soft even. "My name's Kirishima." "I drew," he continued, grinning nervously. "Todoroki Shuto," I said, bowing slightly. He looked at me like I had just performed a magic trick. "You're really amazing on the ice," he said. His voice was earnest. I wasn't used to compliments. At least, not in this way. Not with someone standing there looking so honest, so open, so warm. "Thank you," I said quietly. "You play hockey?" "Yeah," he said. "More used to pucks than twirls, but you're inspiring. I felt something in my chest stir. No one ever said things like that to me. And somehow, hearing it made me feel lighter, calmer, and curious. You seem cheerful, I observed, noting the way his reddish-brown eyes sparkled with something genuine, something rare. He laughed, a little nervously. I can't help it. I like people who skate beautifully. You make it look easy, but I know it isn't. I didn't look away. I didn't know why, but I wanted to hear more, see more. You watch closely? He nodded. I couldn't help it. You're really good. Really, really good. I blinked, and used to such blunt praise. I felt the faintest warmth in my cheeks, a soft fluttering that I couldn't quite name. Thank you, Kirishima, I said softly. You're very kind. For a moment, the rink felt smaller. The music, the ice, the quiet, it felt like it existed only for the two of us. I didn't know what this connection was yet, only that I wanted to see him again, talk to him again, skate with him again. And maybe, just maybe, I wanted to know why his smile made me feel like I wasn't alone. Kirishima watched Todoroki glide away across the ice, feeling a little breathless and completely captivated. He knew he wanted to see him again not just as a skater to admire, but as someone more. Todoroki, meanwhile, returned to his practice, but something had shifted. The quiet edge of his morning solitude felt softer, lighter, because someone had smiled at him with genuine warmth. Someone had noticed him, really noticed him. Neither of them knew what would come next, but for the first time, the thought of sharing the ice with someone else didn't feel scary. It felt promising. A gentle spark had been lit, and neither of them wanted it to go out. Kirishima. I told myself it was just coincidence that I ended up at the rink early again. Totally normal. Definitely not because I hoped Todoroki would be there. Okay, maybe it was a little because of that. He was already on the ice when I arrived, gliding through slow edges and transitions. Even his warm-up looked graceful. I stood there for a moment, watching him, feeling that same weird flutter in my chest that I wasn't ready to label. I swallowed and stepped onto the ice, nearly slipping because I was too busy staring. Smooth, Kirishima. Very manly. Todoroki noticed me immediately, slowing to a gentle stop. His eyes softened just a little. Good morning. Good morning, I said, maybe a little too enthusiastically. Do you have a minute? He blinked, curious. Yes. Do you need something? Yeah. I scratched my cheek, suddenly shy. I kinda wanted to ask if you could teach me some basic skating stuff. Not hockey skating. Actual figure skating edges and stuff. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. You want to learn figure skating? Well, I want to learn from you, I blurted before thinking. My face burned. I mean, you're good. Like really good. And I thought, maybe you could show me a few things. His expression warmed, a soft, almost hidden glow. I can teach you. If you'd like. I beamed. I'd really like that. Todoroki stepped closer, raising his hand slightly. First, let's check your balance. He placed a gentle hand on my arm, steady but careful. His touch was light, warm even through the cold air. I swallowed hard and tried not to lean into it. Bend your knees more, he said. Like this. He moved behind me, hands lightly guiding my elbows, shifting my weight. Not forceful, just supportive. His breath was soft near my shoulder. I tried to focus on skating, but all I could focus on was the careful way he touched me, respectful and warm. Good, he murmured. Now push onto your right edge. I tried. I failed. I wobbled forward and nearly crashed, but Todoroki grabbed my wrist quickly, quick reflexes for such a calm guy. Oh, sorry. I yelped, flailing slightly. You're all right. His lips lifted slightly. Try again. We worked slowly. Edges. Crossovers. Balance. He never once made fun of me. He corrected gently, encouraged quietly, and every time our hands brushed light touches, accidental or maybe not, my heart hammered harder. Eventually, I managed a decent crossover, and Todoroki actually clapped softly. That was very good, he said warmly. I grinned. Seriously? Yes. You improved quickly. Hearing him praise me felt like being hit with a warm spotlight. He looked away shyly, a faint blush dusting his cheeks. You have a good attitude. I rubbed the back of my neck. You make it easy. For a moment, neither of us moved. Just soft smiles and quiet breaths, standing close enough to feel the cold air we shared. Training with him felt natural. Like something I wanted to keep doing every day. I really hoped he wanted that too. Todoroki. Kirishima was smiling before he even stepped onto the ice. I pretended not to notice how much that affected me. He approached with that same bright energy he always had, warm, open, without hesitation. I admired that. It contrasted sharply with my own quiet nature, yet somehow it didn't overwhelm me. It made me feel comfortable. When he asked if I could teach him, something in my chest warmed. Of course, I told him. I'd be happy to. I guided him carefully. His balance was different from a figure skater's, heavier, more momentum-focused, but he listened intently to every instruction. He leaned into corrections with surprising seriousness, his brows knitting in concentration. And every time our hands touched, he tensed slightly, as if it startled him, but he didn't pull away. Your posture is good, I said as I steadied his elbow. You just rely too much on speed. Can't help it, he laughed. Hockey habits die hard. His laughter was soft and genuine, a sound I found myself wanting to hear more often. He wobbled once, nearly falling forward, and I caught his wrist without thinking. He looked surprised, then grateful, then shy. His cheeks turned pink, and my heart fluttered strangely. You're improving, I assured him. Thanks to you, he said, smiling too brightly. He worked hard. Sweated. Focused. Tried again and again even when he messed up. I admired that deeply. When he finally achieved a clean crossover, I felt a small swell of pride. That was very good, I told him, clapping softly. His grin lit up the entire rink. And for a moment, just a moment, I let myself admire him. His energy. His warmth. The way he tried so hard without complaint. The way being around him made the ice feel less lonely. We ended the morning skating slow laps together, not talking much. Just sharing the space. Sometimes our hands brushed. Sometimes we drifted close without meaning to. Kirishima exhaled happily. This is nice. Very nice, I replied quietly. I didn't realize I had smiled until he stared, eyes wide and delighted, like he'd discovered something precious. I looked away, feeling warmth bloom across my cheeks. Maybe he had. They finished their session sitting on the bench, unlacing skates side by side. Their shoulders touched, neither pulling away. Todoroki's calm presence soothed Kirishima's nerves. Kirishima's bright warmth eased Todoroki's quiet heart. They'll see you after practice tonight? Kirishima asked, hopeful. Todoroki nodded softly. Yes. I'd like that. It wasn't quite a date. Not yet. But it was something gentle, growing, warm. And neither of them wanted it to stop. Kirishima. Later that night, 8 p.m. Practice ran long. Longer than normal. The rink was nearly silent now, no teams, no coaches, no background chatter, just the hum of the cooling system and the soft scrape of Todoroki's blades as he finished one last glide. The lights had dimmed to their late evening setting, warm and low and strangely romantic. I tried not to think about how the soft glow made him look even more graceful, like he belonged in some serene winter painting. He slowed to a stop near me, chest rising and falling gently. His hair stuck slightly to his forehead, and for once, he looked humanly tired. Not perfect. Not composed. Just a boy after a long day. Good practice? I asked, leaning lightly on my stick. He nodded. Better because you were here. My heart nearly stopped. Really? Yes. He looked away, sheepish. I like skating with you. I don't know why, but something in my chest loosened. The kind of loosening that happens when someone says exactly what you needed to hear without even knowing it. We drifted toward the center of the rink, neither of us saying much. The quiet wasn't awkward, just soft. Our skates scratched gently across the ice in slow, almost lazy lines. After a few laps, Todoroki spoke first. Do you get nervous when you disappoint people? I blinked. You mean like, teammates? He nodded faintly. I scratched the back of my neck. Yeah, sometimes. You want to be reliable, you know? You want to be someone they trust. The pause. But it's tough. Every day. He looked at me as though I'd said something profound. You understand that feeling, he murmured. I smiled softly. I think a lot of people do. Even if they pretend they don't. The rink lights flickered softly above us, casting long shadows across the ice. He moved a little closer barely, just enough for our arms to almost touch. Can I ask something? He said quietly. Anything. What scares you? I hadn't expected that. But his voice was so gentle, so careful, that I couldn't lie. Not being enough, I admitted. Not being good enough. Strong enough. Someone people can count on. He nodded slowly, like he understood that down to the bone. I feel that too, he said. All the time. I wanted to reach out and take his hand right then, but I didn't. I just let the moment settle between us, warm and tender. After a long breath, I asked, what about you? What scares you? He hesitated. Being alone. Or, believing I have to be. My chest tightened. I moved a little closer this time on purpose. You're not alone. He looked up at me, eyes wide and soft. Not right now. Not anymore, I corrected. And he didn't look away. Todoroki. The rink was quieter than I'd ever seen it. Soft lights. Empty stands. Only Kirishima and me in the center of the ice. I wasn't used to this feeling of safety. I wasn't used to someone making the silence feel comforting instead of heavy. He skated beside me, hands tucked into his jacket pockets, hair messy from practice. His smile was gentle, not overly bright like earlier, just warm. Just for me. I liked that version of him. The softer one. We really talked. About fears, families, pressure. Things I didn't say to people. Things I hadn't actually ever said out loud. When he told me he was scared of not being enough, I felt a pang of recognition. I feel that too, I murmured. All the time. He didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss it. He just nodded, understanding. Whenever I glanced at him, he was already looking at me. Not judging, just being there. Steady. Present. When he asked what scared me, the answer slipped out before I could stop it. Being alone. He moved closer instantly, like his body acted faster than his thoughts. You're not alone, he said softly. Something in my chest trembled, fragile and new. Not anymore, he added. I didn't know what to say. But I knew how my body felt light, like the air between us had shifted. We drifted to a stop in the middle of the rink. No one else was here. Just the two of us and the dim golden lights above. Kirishima's breath fogged lightly in the cold air. Can I try something? I blinked. What? He reached out his hand. Tentative. Gentle. Not demanding, just offering. My breath caught. Slowly, carefully, I put my hand in his. A little shaky. His fingers curled around mine, tentative but sure, and something inside me melted instantly. He looked at our hands. Is this okay? Yes, I whispered. It's very okay. We didn't move. Just stood there, holding hands, feeling the quiet settle into something tender. After a minute, Kirishima leaned the slightest bit toward me, his shoulder brushing mine. I didn't lean away. I leaned back, and it felt natural. They stayed in the center of the rink long after practice ended, hands intertwined, shoulders touching lightly, breath visible in the cold air. Just soft trust. Gentle closeness. A beginning. As they finally left the rink together, their hands brushed again, and Todoroki didn't pull away. And Kirishima couldn't stop smiling the whole walk home. Kirishima. I'd been replaying the moment all afternoon. The way Todoroki had looked at me after practice, quiet, thoughtful, a little unsure in that soft way he had, and then said, almost too casually, "Would you like to get something warm to drink? There's a cafe near here." He'd said it like it was nothing. Like my entire soul didn't exit my body on the spot. Of course I'd said yes. Maybe too quickly. Maybe with too much enthusiasm. But Todoroki hadn't seemed bothered. He'd only given this tiny nod, eyes dipping down for a moment, almost shy. And now we were walking side by side through early evening streets, our breaths clouds in the air. His scarf was pale blue, mine was bright red. Every time the ends brushed together, I had to look anywhere but him. Todoroki walked calmly, hands tucked in his pockets, steps measured. I kept sneaking glances, noticing the faint flush on his cheeks from the cold, the faintest curve of a smile. I couldn't remember the last time someone made me this nervous. And excited. And warm. All at once. "We should be close," Todoroki said, glancing at his phone. "It's small but very good. Quiet." "Quiet's nice," I said. "I like quiet places." "Really?" He looked over at me, mildly surprised. "You seem like the type who enjoys noise." I snorted. "I can handle it, but sometimes quiet feels better. More real." Todoroki really thought about it like every word mattered. "I think I understand," he said softly. "Quiet makes it easier to pay attention." My heart did a ridiculous flip. We finally reached the cafe, soft yellow lights glowing through fogged windows, the scent of chocolate drifting into the street. Todoroki held the door for me, casual, gentle, and something in my chest tightened at the gesture. Inside was warm, calm, cozy. Wooden tables, golden lighting, a little shelf of pastries. Todoroki scanned the menu, then looked at me like my decision genuinely mattered. "What would you like?" I smiled. "Hot chocolate sounds great." His eyes warmed. "I was hoping you'd say that." I blinked. "Why?" "Because," he said as we walked to the counter, "they have the best marshmallows here. I wanted to see your reaction." My face heated instantly. We ordered and settled at a corner table. Our drinks steamed between us, little swirls rising in the glow of the overhead lamps. Outside, snow had begun falling again, slow and soft, like a movie scene. I wrapped both hands around my cup. "This is really nice." Todoroki nodded slowly. "I'm glad you came with me." His voice was warm, sincere, almost vulnerable. I swallowed, feeling something melt inside my chest. "Hey," I said gently. "I'm always happy to spend time with you." Todoroki's breath caught just a small sound, barely noticeable. But I noticed. His eyes lowered to his drink, a faint pink appearing on his cheeks. I feel the same," he murmured. The world seemed to slow. He reached for his cup at the same moment I reached for mine, and our fingers brushed light, soft, sparking heat straight up my arm. We both froze. Then Todoroki withdrew his hand, a little too quickly, staring at his drink like it might explode. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. I shook my head fast. "No, you're okay." "Really?" He hesitated, eyes flicking up to mine. "I'm not used to this. Being close to someone?" I asked gently. He nodded. I smiled. "Then we can go slow. As slow as you want." His breath eased out, a small, relieved smile forming. "That would be nice." We sipped our drinks, the chocolate rich and warm. When I noticed a bit of whipped cream on the corner of his mouth, I blurted the first thing that popped into my head. "You've got a right here." I pointed at my own lip, flustered. Todoroki touched the wrong side. Then the wrong corner. "Nope, other no, yeah, right?" He finally got it, eyes narrowing in mild frustration. It's surprisingly difficult when someone is staring. I wasn't staring. I was absolutely staring. He raised an eyebrow. "You were looking quite intently." I groaned. "Okay, fine, maybe a little." His lips twitched, the closest thing to a laugh I had ever seen from him. And suddenly the atmosphere felt different. Warmer. Closer. He set down his cup and asked softly, "Would you like to try the pastries? I heard the strawberry ones are good." "Definitely. But we can share." "Share?" he repeated, tilting his head. "Yeah," I said, cheeks warm. "Like, one fork, two people. If you want." He blinked slowly. "People do that?" I laughed. "It's kind of a date thing." Todoroki went still. A beat of silence. Then, very quiet, "Is this a date?" Blood rushed straight to my ears. "I mean, it doesn't have to be, only if you want it to. I'm not trying to pressure." "Kirishima." I froze. "Yeah." He looked at me with that direct, steady gaze that always made my heart stumble. I invited you because I wanted this to feel like a date. The world tilted. My breath left my lungs entirely. Oh, I said weakly. That's really cool. He stared at me for a second, then frowned faintly. Are you all right? I'm great, I squeaked. Todoroki took a slow sip of his drink, hiding what might have been an amused smile. We ordered the pastries, tiny, delicate slices with glossy strawberries on top, and when they arrived, I nudged the plate toward him. You first. He cut a small piece, then hesitated. You said people feed each other? I blinked. Oh, why yes, sometimes. He considered this. Then, carefully, he lifted the fork toward me. My breath caught. Everything in me went still. Kirishima, he said softly. Would you like to try? I leaned forward before my brain caught up, lips brushing the fork as I tasted the sweet fruit. Widened a fraction. It's good, I said quietly. Todoroki swallowed, seeming a little dazed. Yes. It is. The warmth between us deepened, thickened. And then, gentle as falling snow, he reached out and brushed a crumb from the corner of my lip with his thumb. Time stopped. His touch lingered just a moment too long. Kirishima, he murmured, voice low, soft, warm. May I? I barely breathed. Yeah. You can. Todoroki leaned in, hesitating only inches from my lips. My heart hammered. And then he pressed a soft, tentative kiss against the corner of my mouth. Not quite the lips. Not quite the cheek. But something right between, like he was asking a question with it. I exhaled shakily. Todoroki. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. I wanted to try, he whispered. My smile broke open helplessly. Then, maybe you should try again. His eyes softened, something warm and brave flickering there. He leaned in slowly. Lips brushing mine. Light, warm, sweet. A tiny inhale from him, a soft exhale from me, and then he kissed me fully, shy, lingering, gentle. The kiss tasted like strawberries and hot chocolate and warmth and something new blooming between us. When we finally pulled apart, his breath trembled just slightly. Kirishima, he said quietly, I think. I really like you. My heart melted completely. I like you too, I whispered. A lot. Snow drifted outside the window. Warm light wrapped around us. The world felt small and safe. And for the first time, Todoroki really smiled just for me. Kirishima. The locker room buzzes with pre-game energy, the kind that makes my chest thump even before I hit the ice. Helmets clatter against benches, skates scrape against tile, and someone laughs too loud at a joke no one will admit to making. But underneath all of it, I feel one specific thing. Todoroki's here. He doesn't come to every hockey game, he's too busy with skating training, but he made it to tonight's because I told him, quietly, almost awkwardly, that I wished he could see me play, just once. And then he showed up with a scarf wrapped around his neck, a thermos in his hands, and the softest smile I've ever seen. That memory alone is keeping me from vibrating out of my skin. Coach hollers for us to line up. I take a breath, shake out my arms, and remind myself that I'm not just playing for my team. I'm playing for someone watching in the stands. When we skate out, the lights are blinding and the air is cold and clean. My eyes sweep the crowd instinctively. And there he is. Front row seat. Scarf pulled up to his chin. Eyes warm even in the chill of the rink. He lifts his hand slightly when our gazes meet. Not a full wave, just a small, private gesture meant only for me. It hits me harder than any body check could. The game starts fast, the other team immediately aggressive. I'm locked in, pushing hard, skating faster than usual because adrenaline sings through my muscles. Every roar from the crowd lifts me higher. But every time I glance toward the boards, I see him. Todoroki watching me with focused eyes, looking genuinely proud. It's ridiculous how much strength I get from that alone. At one point, I slam someone into the boards, clean and legal, but the impact shakes my ribs. When I shake it off, I catch Todoroki leaning forward like he almost stood up. His face softens when I give him a thumbs up. The game ends with us winning 3-2 in overtime. The rink explodes in noise. but I only hear my heartbeat. Because Todoroki is already moving to meet me. I skate toward the barrier, breath fogging in the air. He waits. And for the first time ever, I feel like a hero in someone's story. Todoroki. The final whistle echoes, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Watching Kirishima play is entirely different from watching anyone else. My heart clenches with each collision, each sprint, each moment where he pushes himself a little too hard, and I'm caught between admiration and worry. He's radiant on the ice. Focused. Brilliant. And every time he looked my way, something in my chest fluttered so sharply it almost hurt. When the players begin to filter off the rink, I step closer to the rinkside gate. Kirishima sees me immediately. His expression brightens even beneath all the gear. He stops in front of me, chest heaving, cheeks pink from exertion. "You were amazing," I say softly. His grin widens. "You really think so?" I nod. I've never seen someone play with that much heart. His ears turn red. It's endearing. The team pours back into the locker room, but Kirishima lingers near me like he's tethered by some invisible thread. I wait patiently until he can slip away. After he cleans up, we end up walking side by side down the empty rink corridor. The arena has quieted completely, and the cold hangs in the air like a blanket. Our shoulders brush occasionally, warming me more than the heating vents. Kirishima glances at me, softer than I've ever seen him. "You really came." "I was kinda scared you wouldn't." "I told you I would," I reply. "And I wanted to be here. A lot." He stops walking. I stop too. There's no one else around. The hum of the rink lights above us is the only sound. "Kirishima?" I ask gently. He swallows hard. His eyes flick down, then up as if searching for courage. "I need to tell you something," he says, and his voice shakes ever so slightly. "And I've been trying to say it for weeks, but it feels big. And you're important. And I don't want to mess this up." I wait, patient. "Open." He takes a small step closer. Then another. When he speaks again, it's barely above a whisper. "I'm in love with you." The words hit me like a soft, warm wave. Not shocking. Not overwhelming. Just right. Exactly what I'd been hoping for without daring to expect. I feel my chest loosen. My heart lift. "I'm in love with you too," I answer, honest and sure. Kirishima's breath actually catches, and his eyes widen with something bright and disbelieving. "Todoroki." I move toward him before he can finish. My hands slide gently up to his jaw, and his breath hitches again. His eyes flutter half shut. Then I kiss him. Slow. Tender. Full of every unspoken feeling between us. Kirishima melts into it with a soft sound, hands finding my waist, pulling me closer as if he's scared I'll vanish. The kiss deepens, still sweet but hungrier now, fueled by the warmth spreading through both of us. By the time we part, our foreheads rest together, breaths mixing in the cold air. Wow, he murmurs. I let out a soft laugh. Just, wow. It pulls me closer by the hips, pressing another kiss to my cheek, then my jaw. His voice drops, rough and emotional. "Come with me? Just somewhere quiet. I just want to hold you for a bit." The way he says it's soft, reverent sends a warm shiver down my spine. "Of course," I say. And later, when we find that quiet space, just the two of us, the lights low, the world outside fading, there are more kisses, deeper touches, whispered confessions. Nothing rushed. Nothing demanding. Just closeness. Warmth. Trust. Two hearts learning each other, gently. And when he holds me afterward, his arms wrapped securely around me, I realize something simple and true. I never want to let him go. Kirishima. The snow had started again, not a storm, just a slow curtain of soft flakes that drifted down like someone shaking powdered sugar over the world. I watched Todoroki glide across the ice, the white specks falling through the window, making him look like an ice prince as he whisked across the ice. We'd both stayed late at the rink, partly for practice, partly because neither of us wanted to go home just yet. The lights overhead were dimmer at night, giving the place a quiet, private glow. Todoroki finished his final pass and came to a gentle stop, his blades kissing the ice. He looked over at me with that small, warm smile I'd learned was his version of, "I missed you." I stepped onto the rink, crossing the distance between us. "You look beautiful when you skate, you know," I said before my brain could filter anything. His cheeks turned pink, whether from the cold or my words, I wasn't sure. "You always say things like that so easily," he murmured, eyes dropping shyly. "That's because they're true." He glided closer, our hands brushing, then intentionally touching. His fingers curled around mine, cool from the ice, but perfect. "We should stop before you get tempted to stay here all night," he said. "I'm already tempted," I replied. He let out the softest laugh. We cleaned up, grabbed our bags, and stepped outside. The snow caught in my eyelashes immediately. Todoroki reached up, thumb brushing it away with a tenderness that made my chest warm. "Let's walk," he asked. "Anywhere you want." We walked side by side, our shoulders touching occasionally, sometimes by accident, sometimes because I nudged him just to see him smile. The street was quiet, snow muffling the city noise. Todoroki slipped his hand into mine, and the world felt small in the best way. "How was practice today?" he asked. "Good," I said. "I feel like I'm getting better at reading plays." "And you were amazing as always." He huffed softly. "It helps to have someone cheering for me." I squeezed his hand. "You'll always have me cheering." His steps slowed just a little. "Like that," he said quietly. The warmth that spread through me was almost embarrassing. Almost. "Hey," I said as we turned onto a side street, "wanna have dinner at my plaque tonight? We can cook something warm." He considered it for half a second before nodding. "Yes, I'd like that very much." Todoroki. Kirishima's apartment was always warm physically, but also emotionally. He kept soft lighting on, blankets everywhere, and little personal touches that made the place feel lived in. "Homie." I slipped off my jacket as he moved into the kitchen. "Curry?" he asked. "Or stir-fry? Or something cheesy?" I stepped closer, resting my hands lightly on his back. "Anything you make will be good." He turned around, eyes brightening. "You want to help?" "I always want to help." He grinned and bumped his forehead against mine. "Then come on, Chef Roki." We cooked together, moving in an unspoken rhythm we'd slowly built over weeks. I cut vegetables while he seasoned the chicken, our elbows bumping occasionally. Every time they did, he'd smirk at me like it was intentional. Maybe it was. "You're doing that on purpose?" I accused. His grin widened. "Maybe I like being close." I didn't look up from my cutting board. "Maybe I do too." He paused, then rested his chin on my shoulder. "You're cute when you say stuff like that." "You make it very difficult not to," I said, entirely honest. His arms slid around my waist from behind, hugging me lightly. "Good." Something warm bloomed in my chest, spreading through every inch of me. This quiet, soft, domestic was something I hadn't known I wanted until I had it. "Is the chicken burning?" I asked. He jolted. "Oh crap." I couldn't help smiling as he scrambled to fix it. Dinner was a little chaotic, slightly overcooked, but we laughed through all of it. And when we finally sat at the small dining table, our knees naturally brushed under the wood, staying close. Kirishima took a bite and kissed his fingers dramatically. "Perfection." "You burned the bottom," I noted. He pointed at me with his chopsticks. "Shoo, romantic illusion." I laughed soft real. He looked at me like the sound was his favorite thing in the world. Kirishima. After dinner, we ended up on the couch under the same blanket, legs tangled, his head resting on my shoulder. A quiet show played on the TV, but neither of us were really watching it. I played with his hair, running my fingers through the soft strands. He hummed, leaning into the touch. "You're really comfortable, you know," he murmured. "That's the goal," I said. "Boyfriend material means optimal cuddling." His ears turned red. He stopped, then looked up at me with those soft, mismatched eyes. "Yes." I asked gently. "You're more than boyfriend material," he said quietly. I froze. Then my heart soared. "Todoroki." He leaned up slightly, pressing our foreheads together. "I'm happy with you." I wrapped my arms around him, pulling him closer until he was practically in my lap. "Me too." I'm so happy with you. His breath hitched just a little, just enough for me to hear. His fingers curled into my shirt, holding on. I kissed his forehead, slow and warm. Want to lie down? I asked. He nodded. We shifted until we were stretched out across the couch, him tucked against my chest, blankets pulled over us. Snow fell quietly outside the window, catching the glow of the streetlights. Thank you, he whispered suddenly. For what? I whispered back. For making things feel easy. I kissed the top of his head. You make it easy. He sighed a soft, content sound and tilted his chin up. His lips brushed mine, tentative, warm. I cupped his cheek and kissed him properly, slow, gentle, without urgency. His fingers slid into my hair, holding me close. It deepened naturally, both of us moving in perfect sync. Sweet, tender, full of affection and something deeper we didn't need to name out loud. When we finally pulled apart, breath warm and shared, he rested his forehead against mine. Stay with me tonight? I asked. I'm already here, he whispered. And we kissed again softly, slowly until the snow outside blurred into white and the world shrank to the two of us, warm and wrapped in each other. Todoroki. Later, when the lights were dim and the apartment quiet, we ended up curled together in his bed, blankets soft around us. Not rushed. Not heated. Just warm closeness and lingering kisses that tasted like promise. His hand stroked my back slowly. Mine rested over his heartbeat. Do you think, I murmured, that this could be our normal? He kissed my temple. Yeah. I want it to be. A soft flutter spread in my chest. Then I want it too, I whispered. He pulled me close enough that I could feel his breath against my neck, his warmth anchoring me like nothing else ever had. And as we drifted together into quiet, shared peace, his fingers intertwined with mine, holding gently but firmly like he wasn't ever letting go. Neither was I.